Chapter 1478. 4th Level Profound Sage. Murong Yu didn't suppress his cultivation. Moreover, Yu Yangjia and the other two's cultivation was much higher than Murong Yu's, so they could see his cultivation at a glance. In half a month, he had advanced by 3 small realms. Even though Yu Yangjia and the other two were used to Murong Yu's rapid advancement, they were still shocked at such a speed. However, this was only one aspect. What made their eyes light up was Murong Yu's other aspects. At this time, Murong Yu didn't seem to have changed much, except that his cultivation was higher and he was more powerful. However, it gave Yu Yangjia and the other two a different feeling. They felt that Murong Yu was more confident, and he was more domineering. Yes, they all felt a domineering aura from Murong Yu. In fact, Yu Yangjia and the other two even had an inexplicable feeling of wanting to submit to Murong Yu. Of course, this feeling was very weak. If it weren't for their sharp senses, they wouldn't have felt it at all. It had no effect on experts at their level. However, they felt a sense of familiarity with Murong Yu and couldn't help but want to get closer to Murong Yu. They were subdued by Murong Yu's aura. In fact, even they didn't know about this subtle feeling. Even Murong Yu wasn't clear about it. The reason for this situation was mainly because of the Zhe character. The Zhe character was used to cultivate and strengthen the soul. However, it was different from ordinary soul cultivation methods. The Zhe character had the ability to subdue other people's souls without leaving a trace. Murong Yu's ability was extremely powerful. Even when those people's souls were subdued by Murong Yu, they didn't even realize that their souls had been controlled by Murong Yu. Murong Yu didn't control or subdue other people's souls. However, the might of the Zhe character made him emit a domineering aura that looked down on the world. In fact, this kind of domineering aura was also imperceptibly affecting the souls of others. These people began to feel close to Murong Yu from their souls, and even became willing to become Murong Yu's subordinate. This was the ability of a leader. Any leader, whether it was a general or a king of a dynasty in the mortal world, or a leader of a force in the cultivation world or the saints' world, would have such an aura. Otherwise, how could they have so many disciples and apprentices who were willing to risk their lives for them? Murong Yu was originally the sacred lord of the primal chaos Shenzhen. From the cultivation world until now, his leadership aura had grown stronger and stronger. With the enhancement of the swordsman formula, even an expert like Murong Yu would have a good impression of Murong Yu and unknowingly want to get close to him. This was the reason why Murong Yu had become more and more powerful after practicing the swordsman formula. During these years of cultivation, Hichu Luoshu world time, his various combat skills had become even more powerful, especially the swordsman formula. His soul was getting stronger and stronger, and his soul pool had expanded to 10,000 miles in size. However, his soul realm was only at 3-star level 2, and had not even reached 3-star level 3. One should know that the soul pool of an ordinary soul saint was only 12,000 miles in size. Now, Murong Yu had the ability to protect himself even if he were to face a high-level holy king. It was even possible for him to kill a high-level holy king in an explosive state. "Senior brothers, why are you looking at me like that?" Seeing the 3 of them looking at him, Murong Yu could not help but ask in surprise. Being awakened by Murong Yu's words, Yu Yangjia and the other 2 could not help but look at each other. Then, they saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. What kind of technique did junior brother cultivate? It even affected our minds? In fact, what was affected was their souls and not their mind. "Junior brother, you are a little different. I believe you will surpass me soon," Wu Xinshui said with a smile, but when he spoke, he was a little lonely. Before Murong Yu joined the infernal organization, although he was the weakest and had the lowest realm, he did not feel any pressure. However, he didn't feel any pressure. After all, he had joined the team for the shortest time and was much younger than the others. However, after Murong Yu joined the infernal organization, Although Morong Yu was only at the undead realm at that time, the difference between him and Wu Xinshui was like heaven and earth. However, Morong Yu's aptitude and talent in all aspects, especially his cultivation speed, made Wu Xinshui feel great pressure. At this rate, it was only a matter of time before Morong Yu surpassed him, and he had been stuck at the peak of Ancestor Saint for a long time. Noticing the desolation in Wu Xinshui's eyes, Morong Yu smiled and patted Wu Xinshui's shoulder. He sincerely said, 17th senior brother, perhaps you'll make a breakthrough during the martial competition. The martial arts competition that Wu Xinshui participated in was a battle between Sage Kings, Ancestor Saints, and Primal Chaos Ancestor Saints. With his strength, it would be difficult for him to get into the top 10. But he still came to participate. Obviously, he wanted to use this battle as an opportunity to break through his current realm. After all, the 10 sacred lands had never lacked powerful geniuses. Wu Xinshui nodded and did not say anything. He turned and walked outside. Nothing needed to be said. Morong Yu, you have finally appeared. Our Purple Thunder Hall has been waiting here for a long time. Our Purple Thunder Hall has decided to use 3 ancestral artifacts to exchange for your 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill. Just as Morong Yu's group of 3 appeared outside the mountain, a thunderous voice resounded through the air. Then whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Silhouettes appeared out of thin air around Morong Yu's group of 4, completely surrounding them. Ha ha ha, Purple Thunder Hall is really generous. Our cloud-piercing island will use 4 ancestral artifacts to exchange for a 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill. Before the Purple Thunder Hall elder could finish speaking, the cloud-piercing island elder laughed loudly. While mocking the Purple Thunder Hall for being stingy, he also called out his own price. Big Dipper Sect, 4 top-grade ancestral artifacts. A deep voice sounded. 9 Cauldrons Sect, 4 top-grade ancestral artifacts. Morong Yu was dumbfounded as he listened to the competing bids. Then he remembered what was going on. Morong Yu, these are our unparalleled palace's 4 ancestral artifacts. At this moment, the beautiful Elder Snow Ning of Unparalleled Palace slowly walked over and handed a storage ring to Morong Yu. Morong Yu looked at Elder Snow Ning in surprise. Just as he was about to speak, Elder Snow Ning spoke first. The 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill is definitely worth more than 2 ancestral artifacts. Our Unparalleled Palace also doesn't want to take advantage of you, so we've decided to use 4 ancestral artifacts to exchange for it. Morong Yu laughed and no longer acted pretentious. He accepted the storage ring that Elder Xuening handed over and tossed a jade bottle to Elder Xuening. Before this, he had already packed the remaining 9 pills into his bag. Thank you, Elder Snow Ning said after receiving the pills, then gracefully left. Unparalleled Palace, that bastard. The others looked at Elder Xuening's back and gritted their teeth. Unparalleled Palace was helping Morong Yu raise the price. Before this, Unparalleled Palace had only used 2 ancestral artifacts to exchange for a 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill with Morong Yu. Thus, the Purple Thunder Hall and the other sacred grounds only wanted to offer 3 or 4 ancestral artifacts. But now that Unparalleled Palace had doubled the price and publicly announced that the 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill was worth more than 2 ancestral artifacts, how could they dare to only offer 3 or 4 ancestral artifacts? They weren't that thick-skinned, nor were they that shameless. Not to mention whether or not Morong Yu would exchange with them, even if he did, they would be called stingy. People from the 10 great sacred grounds cared most about their face. Our Purple Thunder Hall will use 5 ancestral artifacts to exchange for a single 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill, the Purple Thunder Hall elder said through gritted teeth. To be honest, 1 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill for 5 ancestral artifacts was a bit expensive. A 95% compatibility 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill can even repair the soul of a primal chaos ancestral artifact expert. Could it be that the Purple Thunder Hall's primal chaos ancestral sage is only worth 5 ancestral artifacts? Before Morong Yu could speak, Lu Xiankai said indifferently, "Little junior brother, these 3 revolutions soul condensing pills are so precious that even our unparalleled society doesn't have them. Why don't you give them to us, and we'll use a primal chaos ancestral artifact to exchange with you," Yu Yangjia said indifferently. The elders of the 7 great sacred grounds fell silent. A primal chaos ancestral artifact for a single pill? Although the 3 revolutions soul condensing pill could repair the soul of a primal chaos ancestral sage. But if a primal chaos ancestral artifact was used well, it was equivalent to a primal chaos ancestral sage. However, to activate the full power of a primal chaos ancestral artifact, one had to reach the primal chaos ancestral sage realm. This was an equivalent exchange. Everyone fell silent. Although they were elders, they hadn't reached the stage where they could make decisions. This price was a bit too high. Forget it, senior brother. I've promised them before that I'll sell the pill to whoever offers the highest price. You don't want me to be a petty person who breaks my promise, right? At this time, Morong Yu finally spoke. Hearing this, the elders of the Purple Thunder Hall let out a sigh of relief. They also had a good impression of Morong Yu in their hearts. However, Morong Yu's next words made them gnash their teeth in hatred. This one then. 10 ancestral artifact. 1 pill for 10 ancestral artifacts. Morong Yu extended a finger with a smile on his face. The elders of the Heavenly Dipper sect could not help but twitch. Morong Yu was simply asking for too much. However, they could only give these ancestral artifacts to Morong Yu. The Rising Sky sect will take it. The elders of the Rising Sky sect gritted their teeth and handed a storage ring to Morong Yu. Morong Yu accepted the storage ring with a smile on his face. After checking that there were no mistakes, he handed a jade bottle to the elders. Therefore, the elders of the Purple Thunder Hall and the 9 Cauldrons sect could only reluctantly hand over the 10 ancestral artifacts to Morong Yu in exchange for a single 3 revolutions soul-condensing pill. "Everyone, you're welcome to come again in the future." Morong Yu waved at their backs with a smile as they left. However, the elders of the Purple Thunder Hall suddenly sped up and left without looking back. Chapter 1479. The martial arts competition was divided into 3 levels. Sages, great sages, and undead realms were on the same level, which was equivalent to the true martial temple's odd job disciples. This level of competition was held in the true martial temple's preparatory hall and was not qualified to enter the inner hall. After all, the odd job disciples of the true martial temple were only in the undead realm, and were not even qualified to enter the outer hall. The second level of competition was between the undead realm, profound sage, and ancient sage. It was equivalent to the outer hall disciples of the true martial temple. This level of competition with the sage kings, ancestral sages, and primal chaos ancestral sages were all held in the inner hall of the true martial temple. It was the square where the alchemy and equipment refining conventions were held. However, it was divided into 2 areas. The outer and inner hall disciples were each in their own area and did not interfere with each other. In fact, the entire square was separated by a huge restriction. Of course, this division was mainly for the inside of the square and could be seen from the outside. This way, the battle between the 2 levels would not be affected by the battle between the 2 levels. At the same time, the spectators would not be affected. They could choose to watch the battle that they wanted to watch. Moreover, many arenas had appeared out of thin air in the square. These arenas were used for martial arts competitions. As soon as Morong Yu stepped into the square, a strange feeling appeared in his heart. At the same time, the 9 syllables in Morong Yu's body started to operate automatically. Morong Yu turned pale with fright. He had encountered this situation before because he had encountered the other words of the 9 syllables. Could it be that one of the other 3 words of the 9 syllables had been cultivated by someone, and the person who cultivated it was also in the square? Murong Yu suppressed the shock and excitement in his heart and looked in the direction of the feeling. Heaven's suppressing sect, although not as strong as the 10 great holy lands, was still very powerful. It was one of the most powerful forces outside of the 10 great holy land. Everyone in Heaven's suppressing sect wanted to pull down one of the 10 great holy lands so that they could take over. This was the ambition of Heaven's suppressing sect. Shui Yuanhua was a young expert who had suddenly emerged in Heaven's suppressing sect in recent years. Several hundred years ago, Shui Yuanhua was already an outer sect disciple of the Heaven's suppressing sect. However, his aptitude was only ordinary. This was because the Heaven's suppressing sect wasn't like the Seamless Path and the other sacred ground. If a miracle didn't happen, Shui Yuanhua would never be able to step into the imperishable realm. However, several hundred years ago, he had a fortuitous encounter. Ever since he encountered a fortuitous encounter, his cultivation had skyrocketed. In just a few hundred years, he had already become an ancient sage pinnacle expert. Although his combat strength was not too strong and did not exceed his own realm, his defense was extremely terrifying. It was said that when he had just broken through to the ancient saint stage, he had relied on his terrifying defensive ability to exhaust a saint king who had been pursuing him to death. He had killed him instead. Therefore, although he did not have battle prowess that exceeded his cultivation level, his defensive ability made up for his lack of attack power. According to Shui Yuanhua's current cultivation speed, he believed that it wouldn't be long before he broke through to the primal chaos ancestor realm. He would definitely become an elder of the Heaven's suppressing sect. Therefore, the Heaven's suppressing sect was focusing on nurturing him as the successor of the sect master. Therefore, he had also come to participate in the exchange of the 10 sacred grounds. His goal was very simple. He wanted to suppress everything and become the champion of the 2nd level. Swish! Shui Yuanhua, who had been resting with his eyes closed, suddenly opened his eyes. His gaze was like a sharp knife piercing through the sky as he looked into the distance. Boom! The two fiercely collided in the void, creating a violent collision. What does he have that can make my cultivation method automatically operate? Shui Yuanhua was shocked. Before he even met Murong Yu's gaze, the cultivation technique in his body had already begun to stir. After meeting Murong Yu's gaze, his cultivation method actually began to operate quickly. He has something on him that can make my cultivation method break through. Shui Yuanhua instantly reacted. Then, he looked at Murong Yu and smiled ferociously. Profound Saint Stage? You'd better pray that you don't meet me in the martial competition. Otherwise, Shui Yuanhua smiled ferociously and licked his lips. This guy used to be the lowest existence in the Heaven suppressing sect and was bullied all day long. After his rise, he used bloody means to kill all the people who had bullied him before. His methods were extremely cruel. Shui Yuanhua didn't know that it was the 9 syllables in Murong Yu's body that made his cultivation method automatically operate. Because he hadn't encountered any other 9 syllables. He only thought that Murong Yu had something special on him. But Murong Yu was no stranger to this kind of situation. Seeing Murong Yu look at Shui Yuanhua, Lu Xiankai explained, "That's the Heaven suppressing sect. They're quite strong and want to replace our position as one of the 10 sacred grounds." Murong Yu nodded and grinned at Shui Yuanhua, who was smiling ferociously at him, before withdrawing his gaze. This person must have one of the 3 characters of the 9 syllables on him. I must seize this character. No matter what. Murong Yu thought in his heart as he strode towards the seats of the secret society. Senior apprentice brother Murong Yu, Yuqin greets you. Before Murong Yu could go to his seat, a figure floated over from the distance and finally stood in front of Murong Yu, bowing to him. A voice as pleasant as an oriole's entered the ears of Murong Yu and the others. Murong Yu looked over and saw a young girl in a light green palace dress, who was about 16 years old, smiling at him like a flower. Murong Yu was surprised, but although he didn't know the identity of the other party, he still returned the greeting. Yuqin is a disciple of the Unparalleled Palace and is also on the list for the martial arts tournament. When the time comes, I hope that senior apprentice brother Murong Yu will be merciful. Fei Yuqin said with a smile. Senior apprentice sister Fei must be joking. I'm just a profound sage, while senior apprentice sister Fei should be at the peak of the ancient sage realm, right? I'm afraid the one who will be merciful is senior apprentice sister. Murong Yu said with a smile. While Murong Yu and Fei Yuqin were talking, gazes filled with hostility from all directions were constantly breaking through the void and landing on Murong Yu. It wasn't that Murong Yu and Fei Yuqin were talking and laughing that made people jealous, but because Murong Yu had been in the limelight before. Even if there were many elders from various factions who wanted to befriend Murong Yu, that was the intention of these elders and the factions behind them. Which one of these people present wasn't a genius? Murong Yu's strength in alchemy and weapon refinement had indeed intimidated some people. However, the majority of people were not convinced. These people were all arrogant geniuses, and each of them was an elite disciple of their respective factions. If they could trample on Murong Yu, who had been in the limelight for the past few days, then they would be even more impressive. It was precisely because of this mentality that many people were full of hostility towards Murong Yu. Among them, Murong Yu felt a few extremely powerful existences from these hostile gazes. Shui Yuanhua, whom he had met before, was one of them. There were also some powerhouses from other factions, and some of them were even much stronger than Shui Yuanhua. Even Fei Yuqin, who was talking to Murong Yu, was very powerful, giving Murong Yu a lot of pressure. These were all powerful obstacles for Murong Yu to win the championship. However, even so, Murong Yu wasn't discouraged, and his heart was even filled with fighting spirit. Only with pressure would there be motivation. These so-called geniuses would be fine if they didn't meet him, but if they met Murong Yu, then they were destined to become a stepping stone for Murong Yu's growth. After chatting with Murong Yu for a while, Fei Yuqin went back. Soon after, the martial arts competition officially began. The second level of the competition was for those in the imperishable realm, profound sage realm, and ancient sage realm. There were 10,000 arenas in the plaza. There were 10,000 square meters in total, and they could accommodate 20,000 people at the same time. It should be known that there were no restrictions in this competition. As long as one had reached the undead realm and hadn't surpassed the ancient sage realm, they could participate. Therefore, there were a lot of disciples of the true martial temple on the stage. In addition to the seamless division, many people from the other 8 great holy lands had also come to participate. Adding in the various other forces, there were perhaps hundreds of thousands of people. However, the competition was extremely fast, because the gap in strength between the undead realm, profound sage realm, and ancient sage realm was too big. Apart from the true martial temple, the people from the other forces who came to participate were basically powerhouses in the ancient sage realm, or some extremely powerful profound sages. When an undead realm sage encountered a profound sage or ancient sage, they would basically be killed in an instant. Of course, in principle, killing was not allowed in the arena. Therefore, these people were easily defeated. Only those who wanted to be on the same level as them would have a fierce battle between dragons and tigers. Shui Yuanhua against Ouyang Feng. At this moment, an elder of the true martial temple who was presiding over the competition shouted. Immediately, Shui Yuanhua stepped onto the arena. His opponent was also a peak ancient sage. "Boy, I'll let you have 10 moves," Shui Yuanhua said to Ouyang Feng with a contemptuous look. Ouyang Feng was furious. Without saying a word, he summoned a powerful sacred tool, and then burst out with his strongest attack, fiercely attacking Shui Yuanhua. Shui Yuanhua grinned and shouted, "Immovable bright king seal." Just as he shouted, Murong Yu saw his hands waving in an instant, forming an obscure hand seal in front of his chest. Boom! The moment the hand seal was formed, a mass of holy light burst out from his body, and then a shimmering shield of holy light shrouded Shui Yuanhua. Bang! The moment the shield appeared, Ouyang Feng's sacred tool smashed down with great force. After an explosion, Shui Yuanhua's shield didn't move at all, but Ouyang Feng's sacred tool was shaken back. Ouyang Feng's face turned pale, and he retreated a few steps in a row. A trace of blood even spilled from the corner of his mouth. Chapter 1480. What a strong defense! Seeing this scene, most of the people in the square were attracted to it. Even those who were originally paying attention to the Battle of the Inner Hall disciples were attracted to it. Shui Yuanhua was not injured at all. He was not even shaken. He had only formed an Akalanatha print. Not only did the print have a strong defense, but it also had a rebounding force. It could directly injure an opponent who was of similar strength. Ouyang Feng's face was red as he steadied himself. The power in his body surged rapidly and quickly suppressed the impetuous blood flow. He looked at Shui Yuanhua with eyes full of anger and humiliation. In the same realm, not only was he unable to defeat his opponent, but he was also injured by his opponent. If his opponent was a king sage, he could accept it. However, they were of similar strength. This was a disgrace. 9 more moves. Shui Yuanhua looked at Ouyang Feng and said with disdain. Ouyang Feng was furious. He roared and took a step forward, pouncing on Shui Yuanhua. Boom! However, the result was the same. Shui Yuanhua was still standing on the spot like a sacred mountain. However, Ouyang Feng was once again sent flying. However, Ouyang Feng was prepared. This time, he was not sent flying. 8 more moves. Shui Yuanhua's disdainful voice stimulated Ouyang Feng's expression, making him look ferocious. Boom! 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 Ouyang Feng was furious and attacked Shui Yuanhua crazily. However, no matter what kind of attack he used, he could not break through Shui Yuanhua's defense. This made the crowd even more shocked. Shui Yuanhua's defense is so strong. Even a king sage can't break through his defense, right? Someone said in shock. No one knew if he was asking someone else or talking to himself. Haven't you heard? Not long ago, Shui Yuanhua exhausted a king sage to death. From the moment he entered the ring, Ouyang Feng was destined to lose. Countless people looked at Shui Yuanhua with gleaming eyes. Naturally, Murong Yu was included. It's definitely one of the words in the 9 symbolic words. I wonder what it is. Murong Yu squinted his eyes and looked at Shui Yuanhua in the ring, but he was thinking. The 9 words mantra was one of the most powerful techniques in the world. Legend had it that if one could gather all 9 characters, they would have unimaginable achievements. Each word of the 9 syllables mantra was a powerful cultivation technique or battle skill. It could be said that it had both offensive and defensive capabilities. There was the fighting formula for attack and the Bing formula for speed. There were also soul cultivation techniques, time and space, and even invisibility. Of course, there would be defenses as well. Murong Yu had almost everything, except for a powerful defensive cultivation method. If Shui Yuanhua's powerful defensive cultivation method was used by Murong Yu, the effect would be even more terrifying. I wonder what stage he has reached in his cultivation of this word? Murong Yu thought to himself. He was even more determined to snatch the word that Shui Yuanhua was cultivating. You can leave now. While Murong Yu was thinking, Ouyang Feng had already made 10 moves. At this moment, Shui Yuanhua finally retaliated. After laughing a few times, he kicked Ouyang Feng away. In fact, Shui Yuanhua's offensive power was far less powerful than his defensive power. It was just that Ouyang Feng was furious under the humiliation. In the 10 moves, he used all his strength. Therefore, after 10 moves, his strength was almost exhausted. Therefore, Shui Yuanhua was able to win in one move. In fact, Shui Yuanhua had exhausted Ouyang Feng's strength. Shui Yuanhua wins. An elder of the True Martial Temple, who was hosting the martial arts competition, immediately announced the result. Shui Yuanhua glanced disdainfully at Murongyu. Finally, his eyes stopped on Murongyu. At the same time, he made a beheading gesture. Whoosh! There was an uproar in the square. Shui Yuanhua wanted to challenge Murongyu. However, would Murongyu be able to defeat Shui Yuanhua? After all, although Murongyu's strength was strong, he was only a profound sage. Shui Yuanhua could even exhaust a Saint King stage powerhouse to death, let alone Murongyu. In response to Shui Yuanhua's provocation, Murongyu just smiled indifferently in response. It would be fine if this guy didn't cultivate the 9 characters mantra, but now? He would definitely die. The martial arts competition continued. One by one, the geniuses competed and killed in all directions. However, not many people could attract Murongyu's attention, except for a limited number of people. For example, True Martial Temple's Han Zhengyang, Rising Sky Sect's Yang Kongping, Purple Thunder Hall's Huang Mingzhi, Sky King Palace's Shi Kongxing, and so on. Apart from the Seamless Society, each of the 10 great holy lands had an extremely powerful existence. Of course, it didn't mean that each of the 10 great holy lands only had one powerful disciple among so many disciples. The other disciples were also very powerful, and they were all peerless geniuses outside. However, only these people were qualified to be Murongyu's opponents. Although these people were only at the Ancient Saint stage, they gave Murongyu an extremely powerful feeling. Murongyu could sense that these people had strength that surpassed their cultivation base. Although Shui Yuanhua's strength did not surpass his cultivation base, his tortoise shell was extremely powerful. He could be considered an opponent. At this moment, the voice of the True Martial Temple's elder reverberated in the air. Murongyu of the Seamless faction versus Sun Qing of True Martial Temple. Murongyu smiled indifferently and slowly stood up. He took a step forward and appeared in the arena in just a flash. Murongyu, you're a traitor of True Martial Temple, yet you still dare to appear in the arena today? Very well, I'll teach you a lesson on behalf of your elders today. Sun Qing of True Martial Temple flew up and shouted at Murongyu. At the same time, he struck out with his palm, shattering the void and slapping towards Murongyu. He actually attacked with all his strength, wanting to kill Murongyu with one palm. A cold murderous intent flashed in Murongyu's eyes. His parents died when he was young, and he was bullied in Murong's family. He had no other elders at all. The elders that Sun Qing mentioned were Murongyu's parents. Although Murongyu's memories of his parents were very vague, his parents were irreplaceable in his heart. No one could replace them. Sun Qing's words had successfully angered Murongyu's murderous intent. Immediately, Murongyu smiled coldly. One move, I only need one move to make you eat shit. You're courting death. Sun Qing flew into a rage. With a monstrous aura, he attacked from all directions. However, Murongyu only sneered. Instead of retreating, he took a step forward. He didn't seem to make any movements, but his right hand suddenly stretched out. His 5 fingers spread open, and he slapped Sun Qing fiercely. Bang! 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 Murongyu's big hand didn't erupt with any powerful aura or power. However, wherever his big hand passed, Sun Qing's power turned into dust. It couldn't even withstand a single blow. Sun Qing was taken aback, and his face revealed a shocked expression. However, he didn't believe it. An even more violent power gushed out, wanting to kill Murongyu. However, all of this was in vain. In front of absolute strength, everything he did was so fragile. Bang! In the blink of an eye, Murongyu's large hand had already landed on Sun Qing's body. Sun Qing only had time to let out a scream. Then, his whole body was slapped to the ground by Murongyu. He was lying on the ground in a dog-eating shit posture. Morong Yu really did what he said. He defeated Sun Qing, an ancient saint, with just one palm. Sun Qing was lying on the ground. His face was red with shame and anger. He wanted to get up, but there was nothing he could do. This was because when Morong Yu slapped him, he had already sealed his power. "Get out of here!" Morong Yu shouted coldly. He kicked Sun Qing out of the arena. At the same time, Morong Yu also stepped out and left the arena. At this time, the elder of the true martial temple announced that Morong Yu was the winner. "This Morong Yu is really powerful. He has at least the strength of an entire realm. Or even more." Although Morong Yu had left the arena, his strength still made many people think. Although Sun Qing's strength was not very good, he was still a 6th-rank ancient saint. Yet, he was sent flying by Morong Yu with one palm. Was Morong Yu not strong enough? The most important thing was that Morong Yu was only a 4th-rank profound sage. However, if that was all, there was nothing to worry about. Many powerhouses smiled faintly. They did not put Morong Yu in their eyes. Morong Yu had strength that surpassed his realm, but so did they. Moreover, the current realm was the biggest gap between them. "Get out of here!" When Morong Yu returned to his seat, a familiar voice came from the other side of the square. It was the place where the inner hall disciples were competing. Morong Yu was familiar with this voice. Morong Yu immediately turned his head to look, only to see a shocking sword ray soaring into the sky. The sword light was extremely sharp and fierce. It emitted an incomparably terrifying sword intent that enveloped the entire arena. If it weren't for the array formations and restrictions outside the arena, this terrifying sword intent would have enveloped the entire square, injuring many saints who weren't very strong. In front of the sword light, a primal chaos ancestor saint expert was sent flying like a broken kite and fell out of the arena. Wu Xinshui stood on the arena with a long sword in his hand. His face was a little pale. It was obvious that this battle was very difficult for him. After all, he was only an ancestor sage, while his opponent was a chaotic ancestor sage. However, Wu Xinshui still won. He defeated a chaotic ancestor sage with the strength of an ancestor sage. Whoosh! After Wu Xinshui returned, he sat down cross-legged and seemed to have comprehended something. Morong Yu did not disturb him. He just set up a soundproof restriction around him and turned his attention back to the martial arts competition. At this time, Yu Yangjia and Lu Xiankai returned. There was no suspense. Both of them fought very easily. Yu Yangjia was extremely powerful. Even if he encountered a high-level chaotic ancestor sage, he was easily defeated by him. Lu Xiankai was even luckier. His opponent was only a sage king. Before the battle even started, the Sage King automatically admitted defeat. Chapter 1481. Apart from the disciples of the true martial sacred hall, those who were qualified to participate in this martial competition were all geniuses among geniuses from their respective factions. However, as the saying goes, there is always someone better than you, and there is always someone stronger than you. Even if they were all geniuses among geniuses, there was still a huge gap between them. As the martial competition continued, those peerless geniuses finally stood out. For example, Morong Yu of the Infernal Society, Shui Yuanhua of the Heaven-Suppressing Sect, Mei Shanshan of the Bai Luo Palace, and the others finally revealed their ferociousness. All of them were extremely powerful, and their opponents were basically unable to shake them. Almost all of their battles were decided in a short period of time. It wasn't that their opponents were too weak, but that they were too strong. These people all had strength that surpassed their own cultivation realm. Moreover, these people were all in the ancient saint realm. In other words, they all had the strength of a saint king. At their level, the peak of the ancient saint realm was the highest cultivation realm. Without the participation of saint kings, these people were invincible. The final battle would be between them, and the champion could only be chosen from them. Each of the 10 sacred lands had one. Apart from the 10 sacred lands, the heaven-suppressing sect also had Shui Yuanhua. In other words, the champion this time would be chosen from the 11 of them. The people from the 10 sacred lands weren't surprised at all. This was because they all knew the situation of their own disciples, and they even knew about the people from the other sacred land. However, the sudden rise of the heaven-suppressing sects, Shui Yuanhua, was something that the 10 sacred lands didn't expect. Naturally, the heaven-suppressing sect was overjoyed with this result. Even if Shui Yuanhua didn't win in the end, being able to enter the top 10 was extremely good news for the heaven-suppressing sect. Because if Shui Yuanhua could enter the top 10, it meant that one of the 10 sacred lands would be defeated by him. From another perspective, the heaven-suppressing sect was even stronger than the sacred land whose disciple Shui Yuanhua defeated. This could greatly increase the prestige of the heaven-suppressing sect and allow them to recruit more genius disciples. This was undoubtedly extremely beneficial to the heaven-suppressing sect. Not to mention that Shui Yuanhua was one of the most popular candidates for the championship. It wasn't because of his powerful attack power, but because of his terrifying defense. Shui Yuanhua's defense made the disciples of the 9 Holy Lands frown. Presumably, they could not think of a way to break Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell. Only Murong Yu's expression remained unchanged from the start to the end. Soon, the final result was out. There were still 12 people left. Each of the 10 sacred grounds had a genius disciple, heaven-suppressing sects Shui Yuanhua, and Star Moon Observatory's disciple Hua Wenlin, whose strength was on par with heaven-suppressing sects. Only one more battle and he would be able to enter the top 10. At the same time, the battles of the highest level had also entered the top 10. Although Wu Xinshui was strong, his opponents were basically all at the primal chaos ancestor sage level. Therefore, in the end, he stopped within the top 50. Even Wu Xinshui, who was only at the ancestor saint realm, was quite satisfied with this result. However, to his regret, he was unable to make a breakthrough in his cultivation base during these battles. However, he had already comprehended something. He believed that it would not take long for him to break through to the primal chaos ancestor saint level. As for Lu Xiankai, he was at the primal chaos ancestor sacred realm. He was much stronger than Wu Xinshui. Therefore, his ranking was also very high at the 11th place. Unfortunately, he was defeated by a primal chaos ancestor saint from True Martial Temple. However, Lu Xiankai was not depressed. After all, this result was already considered good. Moreover, he did not intend to be the champion in the first place. This was because this task had already been given to Yu Yangjia. Hua Wenlin vs. Fei Yuqin. Hua Wenlin was a peerless genius of Star Moon Observatory's younger generation. Fei Yuqin was a beautiful expert of the Unparalleled Palace's younger generation. A fierce battle between a dragon and a tiger took place. In the end, the Unparalleled Palace's foundation was stronger. Although their strength was about the same, Fei Yuqin's various secret techniques were more powerful. She was superior and defeated Hua Wenlin. While these two peerless geniuses were fighting, True Martial Temple's Han Jingyang also welcomed his strongest opponent in the martial arts competition so far, Tiangang Sect's Fu Yushu. Both of them were at the peak of the ancient saint realm. At the same time, they had powerful strength that surpassed their own cultivation base. Moreover, they were both peerless experts of the 10 sacred grounds. Their battle was much more intense than Hua Wenlin and Fei Yuqin's battle. It was a fierce battle between a dragon and a tiger. It could be said that the sky was falling and the earth was splitting. The battle quickly entered a white-hot stage. In the end, both of them used all kinds of methods. Powerful sacred artifacts collided violently in the void, erupting with incomparably terrifying power. True martial scripture. Tiangang technique. In the end, the two of them even used the secret techniques of their respective sacred grounds and launched the most intense battle. However, the two of them were still evenly matched. In the end, the two of them even fought to consume each other's strength. In the end, Han Jingyang defeated Fu Yushu with a slight advantage and eliminated Fu Yushu, successfully entering the top 10. Among the 10 sacred grounds, Tiangang sect was the first to be eliminated, while Heaven-suppressing sect was the first to enter. This result made everyone's jaws drop. However, it was also within their expectations. In order to save time, the experts of the true martial temple came out to treat the injuries of Fei Yuqin and Han Jingyang, who had just fought a great battle. Moreover, they used precious medicinal pills to replenish their energy to the peak. Then, the top 10 competition began. Heaven-suppressing sects Shui Yuanhua vs. Purple Thunder Hall's Huang Mingzhi. Rising Sky sects Yang Kongping vs. Cloud-piercing islands Feng Xian. Murong Yu vs. Sky King Palaces Shi Kongxing. True Martial Temples Han Jingyang vs. 9 Cauldron sects He Gaojie. Peerless Palaces Fei Yuqin vs. Bai Luo Palaces Mei Shanshan. Since they had already entered the top 10 competition, the arenas in the square had been removed. Only one pair of people was allowed to fight at a time. This was also to make it easier for the spectators to watch the battles. Huang Mingzhi, you're no match for me. Admit defeat. Otherwise, I'll make you lose miserably. Shui Yuanhua was the first to enter the arena. However, as soon as he entered the arena, he spoke arrogantly, causing Purple Thunder Hall's peerless genius, Huang Mingzhi's eyes to spit fire. Others might be afraid of your tortoise shell, but I'm not, Huang Mingzhi snorted coldly. He was the first to attack, slapping his palm toward Shui Yuanhua. Akala Seal. Although Shui Yuanhua was arrogant, he was not stupid. After saying those arrogant words, he used the immovable Bright King Seal to protect himself. In fact, he did not use any moves throughout the entire competition. As soon as he entered the arena, he would immediately use this seal and then hide in his tortoise shell. No matter how his opponent attacked, he would not come out. Only when his opponent's strength was almost exhausted did he come out to attack. Therefore, he obtained victory in all of his battles. However, he also encountered a few extremely powerful experts. It took him more than half a day to exhaust his opponent's strength and blast them out of the arena. However, he had never encountered an expert like Huang Mingzhi, whose strength far exceeded his own cultivation base. Little junior brother, who do you think will win between the two of them? Wu Xinshui sat next to Murong Yu and asked as he watched Huang Mingzhi, who was madly attacking Shui Yuanhua, with interest. It's hard to say. Although Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell is extremely powerful. However, Huang Mingzhi is still a peerless genius of the Purple Thunder Hall. He's not someone the others can compare to. We still don't know what methods he has. The chances of victory are 50-50. Before Murong Yu could say anything, Lu Xiankai spoke first. Murong Yu shook his head and said with certainty, Huang Mingzhi will lose without a doubt. Moreover, including Han Jingyang and the others, no one can defeat Shui Yuanhua. Lu Xiankai and Wu Xinshui immediately looked at Murong Yu with astonishment and suspicion. Their cultivation bases were higher than Murong Yu's, but they still could not see it. Why was Murong Yu so sure? Didn't you notice? Not only is Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell strong in defense, it can also reflect power. Most importantly, his tortoise shell can also absorb a certain amount of power from attacks to replenish his own body. In other words, Shui Yuanhua does not need to exhaust his own strength to kill his opponent. Because of this, he is not afraid of fighting a battle of attrition. And his opponents, which one of them is not a peerless genius? They have their own pride? Once they are in the arena, even if Shui Yuanhua does not attack, they will definitely attack. Because of their pride, because their dignity does not allow them to not attack, they can only confront each other. And once they attack, their strength will be exhausted, while Shui Yuanhua will not suffer any losses. Hearing Murong Yu's analysis, Lu Xiankai and Wu Xinshui immediately paid attention to Shui Yuanhua. Not long after, they looked at Murong with astonishment. As expected, little junior brother, how did you notice? As a primal chaos ancestor sage, Lu Xiankai did not notice that Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell could absorb power. In fact, Lu Xiankai was not the only one who did not notice. Many primal chaos ancestor sages did not notice. How did Murong notice? Perhaps it was because he also cultivated the 9 syllables of truth. This Akalanatha seal is really too powerful. It is basically in an invincible position, unless the opponent is too much stronger than the user and smashes it with a palm. Otherwise, it is difficult to defeat. I must seize this Akalanatha seal. Looking at Shui Yuanhua, who was sneering in the square, Murong Yu's eyes flashed, but he had already made up his mind. And Shui Yuanhua, who was in the middle of the battle, seemed to feel Murong Yu's gaze. His face was full of contempt and provocation. This is so infuriating. Huang Mingzhi, who was crazily attacking Shui Yuanhua, could not help but fly into a rage when he saw Shui Yuanhua diverting his attention to provoke others. Because Shui Yuanhua's situation was simply disrespectful to him, an expert. However, no matter how furious he was, he could not break Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell in a short period of time. But the more this was the case, the angrier he was, and the fiercer his attacks became. Naturally, his strength was also consumed faster and faster. Chapter 1482. The Purple Thunder Hall of the 10 Great Sacred Lands is only SOSO. If the Purple Thunder Hall is filled with geniuses like you, then they would not be qualified to be one of the 10 Great Sacred Lands. Huang Mingzhi, you really are a piece of trash. Is this all you have? You really make me despise you. In the midst of the battle, Shui Yuanhua constantly mocked Huang Mingzhi. Not only did he mock Huang Mingzhi, he also mocked the Purple Thunder Hall. Huang Mingzhi had been fighting for a long time without being able to win, and his heart was already filled with anger. Now that he heard Shui Yuanhua's shameless mocking, the anger in his heart was completely ignited. In reality, it was not only Huang Mingzhi who was angry, the other disciples and even the elders of the Purple Thunder Hall were also secretly angry. Because Shui Yuanhua really did not have a filter on his mouth, and his mouth was too smelly. On the other hand, the disciples of the other powers were looking over with smiles on their faces. Especially the disciples outside of the 10 Great Sacred Lands, because no matter what the result was, it had nothing to do with them. They were only here to watch the show. Purple Thunder Great Sacred Art. The furious Huang Mingzhi suddenly roared, and used his strongest martial art, the Purple Thunder Hall's secret art, the Purple Thunder Great Sacred Art. Rumble before Huang Mingzhi's voice fell, the sky above the plaza was suddenly enveloped by endless purple lightning that appeared out of nowhere. Lightning flashed and thunder roared. At the same time, purple lightning that contained a terrifying pressure continuously erupted from Huang Mingzhi's body, and incomparably terrifying covered his entire body. Looking from afar, Huang Mingzhi was like a ball of purple lightning, and his figure could not be seen clearly. An incomparably terrifying pressure descended from the sky, instantly suppressing everyone. At this moment, fear appeared in the hearts of the people near the square, some big and some small. Lightning, no matter if it was ordinary lightning or tribulation lightning, was the power that saints feared the most. Because lightning always represented the might of heaven and earth. This is the Purple Thunder Hall's secret art? Looking at the endless purple lightning that Huang Mingzhi summoned, Murong Yu's face revealed a curious expression. The might of the purple lightning was indeed powerful, but to Murong Yu, it was not much of a threat. It was not even as powerful as the lightning in the depths of the lightning small world in Wenzhen's secret territory. Of course, this could also be because Huang Mingzhi had not cultivated this technique to the great accomplishment stage, or because his strength was not enough, so he was unable to unleash its powerful might. After all, this was the ultimate technique of the Purple Thunder Hall. Shui Yuanhua die. Huang Mingzhi roared again, directing a torrent of purple lightning to shatter the void and strike at Shui Yuanhua. The sneer on Shui Yuanhua's face finally disappeared. However, it was just a sneer. He didn't panic. However, secretly, he had already circulated his strength to the limit, and pushed the power of the immovable Bright King Seal to the limit. Rumble! In the blink of an eye, the purple thunderbolt had already struck Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell. The purple lightning instantly flooded the void around Shui Yuanhua. For a moment, Shui Yuanhua's figure could not be seen. This Shui Yuanhua is finished, right? Even a high-level holy king would not be able to withstand this attack, right? Outside the arena, a few peak stage saint kings looked at the square before them in shock. A hint of fear actually flashed across their eyes. If it were them, they also did not have the confidence to block Huang Mingzhi's attack. One had to know that Huang Mingzhi was only a saint king. This is a peerless genius. Strength that exceeds one's cultivation level by an entire major realm is really terrifying. While everyone was guessing whether Shui Yuanhua had already been killed by Huang Mingzhi also stood where he was, looking at Shui Yuanhua with an indifferent expression and a pale face. The Purple Thunder Grand Saint technique was not something that he could use at this cultivation level. He could only barely use it. However, he firmly believed that even a peak stage Saint King would not be able to withstand this attack. Although Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell was strong, it would definitely not be able to withstand it. The purple lightning slowly dissipated. Huang Mingzhi's expression suddenly changed. Right in his line of sight, a tortoise shell appeared. Then, Shui Yuanhua's arrogant voice sounded from afar. "This is the ultimate technique of the Purple Thunder Hall? It has really broadened my horizons." "Impossible!" Huang Mingzhi roared angrily, and once again gathered his strength, controlling endless purple lightning to strike Shui Yuanhua. He actually didn't die. Shui Yuanhua's tortoise shell is so powerful. Seeing this scene, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. On the heaven-suppressing sect's side, a brilliant smile appeared on their faces. They all knew that if there were no accidents, Huang Mingzhi would definitely lose. And Shui Yuanhua was the first person to enter the top 5. This was the first time in countless years that a disciple not from the 10 great sacred lands had entered the top 5. The significance of this to the heaven-suppressing sect was self-evident. Sure enough, not long after, Huang Mingzhi's strength was quickly consumed. In reality, before he used the Purple Thunder Grand Saint technique, he had already used up a bit of his strength, and after using the Purple Thunder Grand Saint technique, his strength was rapidly consumed, and he was left with less than 30% of his original strength. Then, after another round of storm-like attacks, his strength was almost exhausted. And at this time, Shui Yuanhua attacked. Without any suspense, Huang Mingzhi was sent flying by Shui Yuanhua with an unwilling heart. Failure! Ha ha! The disciples of the 10 great sacred lands are only SOSO. Today's champion will be mine. I will sweep through all the disciples of the 10 great sacred lands. Remember, I am the heaven-suppressing sect's peerless genius, Shui Yuanhua. After defeating Huang Mingzhi, Shui Yuanhua stood on the spot and laughed loudly. This bastard is too arrogant, too arrogant. Does he really think he's the champion? And he said he would sweep through all the disciples of the 10 great sacred lands. I really want to slap him to death. Looking at the arrogant Shui Yuanhua, most of the people in the square were unhappy. They wanted nothing more than to suppress this guy. However, those who were stronger disdained to suppress him, and those who wanted to teach Shui Yuanhua a lesson knew that they couldn't suppress him. After roaring to the sky, Shui Yuanhua slowly stood up. And when he stood up, he didn't forget to look at Murong Yu with killing intent. "Junior brother, do you have a grudge with this guy?" Wu Xinshui frowned when he felt Shui Yuanhua's first place. Murong Yu shook his head. "The higher you climb, the more painful it is to fall. The more arrogant he is, the more uncomfortable he'll feel when I defeat him later." Murong Yu did not take Shui Yuanhua seriously at all. Perhaps, He was the only one who did not take Shui Yuanhua seriously among the remaining few people. The others had a solemn expression on their faces. After Shui Yuanhua and Huang Mingzhi's battle, it was the battle between Yang Kongping from the Rising Sky sect and Feng Xian from the Cloud-Piercing Island. Both of them were not as arrogant as Shui Yuanhua, and they did not have Shui Yuanhua's terrifying turtle shell. For this reason, it was a fierce battle. All kinds of battle skills, secret techniques, saint weapons, and Dharma treasures were thrown out one after another. Holy light shone resplendently as the terrifying power continued to spread out in all directions like a tidal wave. Wherever it passed, the void would shatter into pieces. Fortunately, the square was sealed by the true martial temple's peerless powerhouse, so the energy could not spread out. Otherwise, it would cause countless deaths and injuries. Even so, many saints were still scared out of their wits. They kept retreating far away from the square. This was a real battle. The spectators were dazzled and excited. All kinds of techniques were thrown out as they attacked in a frenzy. Both of them were evenly matched, but in the end, Feng Xian from the Cloud-Piercing Island came out on top. He defeated Yang Kongping from the Rising Sky sect with a slight advantage and was the second to enter the top 5. The third battle was between Murong Yu and Shi Kongxing from the Heavenly King Palace. Shi Kongxing was a taciturn and ordinary-looking young man. He cupped his fists slightly at Murong Yu and shouted, "Heavenly King Great Saint Technique." The Heavenly King Great Saint Technique was the Heavenly King Palace's secret technique. Perhaps, he knew Murong Yu was a formidable opponent, so Shi Kongxing immediately used his secret technique in an attempt to suppress Murong Yu in one fell swoop. Boom! A heavenly king covered in golden armor stepped out of the void and landed on top of Shi Kongxing's head. In the blink of an eye, he sent a palm strike towards Murong Yu. When Murong Yu saw the golden armor heavenly king, he could not help but exclaim in surprise, "Huh?" He realized the golden armor heavenly king looked very familiar. Celestial God's Descent. Murong Yu shouted in his heart and used the technique he had obtained in the celestial world, Celestial God's Descent. Boom! A golden armor heavenly king identical to the one Shi Kongxing summoned appeared above Murong Yu's head. At this moment everyone was dumbfounded. Especially Shi Kongxing and the Heavenly King Palace's disciples and elders. Heavenly King Great Saint Technique. How does Murong Yu know the Heavenly King Great Saint Technique? Shi Kongxing was so stunned that he forgot to continue attacking. The people from the Heavenly King Palace outside the square also began to attack as they looked at the golden armor Heavenly King above Murong Yu's head in horror. As the Heavenly King Palace's secret technique, the Heavenly King Great Saint Technique was not easily passed down. There were only a few people in the entire sect who were qualified to cultivate this technique. Every one of them was a peerless genius like Shi Kongxing. Moreover, they had to be loyal to the Heavenly King Palace. Otherwise, it was impossible to pass down this technique. Murong Yu was a disciple of the Infernal Tao, so how did he know the Heavenly King Palace's technique? Did the Infernal Tao have this technique? If so, how did the Infernal Tao get it? What was going on with all of this? For a moment, the Heavenly King Palace's people could not wrap their heads around it. The other sects looked at Murong Yu in shock. Could it be that the Heavenly King Palace and the Infernal Tao have been secretly colluding? They even gave out their secret technique? That was what they thought. What no one knew was that the truth was not what they thought. Murong Yu had already cultivated this technique in the celestial world. Chapter 1483. Whether it was the appearance of the golden armor Heavenly King or the aura they emitted, the Heavenly King summoned by Murong Yu and Shi Kongxing were the same. In fact, the strength of the aura emitted by the two Heavenly Kings was about the same. Of course, there was still a difference. Although the Heavenly King summoned by Murong Yu was somewhat lifelike, his face was a little blurry and could not be seen clearly. However, the face of the Heavenly King summoned by Shi Kongxing was very clear, as if it was Shi Kongxing. It was exactly the same, without any difference. And in terms of aura, the heavenly king summoned by Murong Yu was also weaker. This was the reason for the completeness of the cultivation technique. Obviously, the god's descent, that Murong Yu cultivated, was only a simplified version of the Heavenly King Great Sage art. It wasn't even a simplified version. It was only the tip of the iceberg of the Heavenly King Great Sage art. It was only a small part of the complete cultivation technique. However, even if it was an incomplete cultivation technique, under Murong Yu's cultivation, it still had astonishing power. At least for now, the two of them were evenly matched. Even if Murong Yu's golden armor Heavenly King was at a disadvantage, it was still unknown who was stronger and who was weaker. Kill! After a moment of shock, Shi Kongxing came to his senses. With a loud roar, the golden armor Heavenly King's body shook violently, and he once again punched towards Murong Yu. Before the fist had even landed, a circle of inexplicable energy waves had already torn through the void, charging towards Murong Yu, and even sweeping in all directions. At this moment, Murong Yu felt that his mind was a little absent-minded. But it was only a little absent-minded. However, unlike some of the saints outside the square, at this moment, their minds had all fallen into a daze. This was the attack of the mind. In fact, the Heavenly King Hall's ultimate art did not have any offensive power. However, in terms of strength and terror, it surpassed the true martial temple's true martial scripture and the Heavenly Dipper sect's Heavenly Dipper great technique. This was because the other ultimate arts all possessed unparalleled battle prowess. However, the Heavenly King Great Sage art suppressed the mind. No matter how powerful your absolute art was, as long as you lost your mind in battle, you would end up dead. Therefore, although the Heavenly King Palace was not ranked high among the 10 great saint lands, the people from the other saint lands were more or less wary of the experts from the Heavenly King Palace. They were worried about this Heavenly King Great Sage technique. Seeing Shi Kongxing's attack, Murong Yu did not show any signs of weakness. He shook his Heavenly King and charged forward. In a split second, the power of the two Heavenly Kings clashed fiercely in the void. A series of silent explosions erupted. Although there wasn't the dazzling effect caused by the collision of pure strength. However, it was extremely dangerous, because if one was not careful, one's mind would be shattered. Humph! Humph! Murong Yu and Shi Kongxing both snorted coldly. Shi Kongxing even retreated a few steps, his face instantly turning pale. Although Murong Yu snorted coldly, he did not retreat. His face was not red and he was not out of breath. It was obvious that in this battle of the mind, Murong Yu did not suffer any injuries. Not only was Shi Kongxing at a disadvantage, he was also injured. I admit defeat. Just as Murong Yu was looking at Shi Kongxing with a smile on his face, Shi Kongxing abruptly spoke up. Then, he took a step forward and disappeared from the square. He returned to the Heavenly King Palace and sat down cross-legged on the ground. Seeing this result, the people outside the square naturally had their jaws drop. They had clearly only attacked once, and although Shi Kongxing was at a disadvantage, he hadn't failed yet, had he? Could it be that these two guys were gay? Everyone was guessing. Although everyone was suspicious, the result was still the same. Murong Yu entered the top 5. Junior brother, what's going on? Why did that Shi Kongxing suddenly admit defeat? Could it be that you guys are gay? Gay? When Murong Yu returned, he saw Lu Xiankai and the other two looking at him strangely. Murong Yu staggered and almost fell to the ground. Then, he said in a speechless manner, I like women the most. Moreover, it's only limited to those few women of mine. Then why did Shi Kongxing suddenly admit defeat? If it wasn't because you guys are gay. Wu Xinshui was still looking at Murong Yu strangely. Murong Yu was helpless and could only explain. It turned out that although the two of them had only exchanged a single blow, that single blow had gathered the most powerful mental attacks of both of them. mind power and mind power were directly related to the soul. The stronger the soul, the more soul power, the stronger the mind power and mind power. Although Shi Kongsheng's soul was strong, he was not a soul saint after all. He could not be compared to Murong Yu's 3-star soul. Therefore, under the same level of mind attack, Shi Kongsheng's mind was injured. Although it was not enough to threaten his life, that was only the first attack. There would be a second attack, a third attack, and even more attack. His mind could not withstand any more attacks. On the other hand, Murong Yu was completely fine. If this went on, Shi Kongsheng would still lose. Moreover, it would also cause great damage to his mind. It would be better to just admit defeat now. It would just be a little embarrassing. However, which was more important, face or life? It was obviously his life. Therefore, Shi Kongsheng admitted defeat decisively. Murong Yu was rather appreciative of this. As the saying went, a wise man submits to circumstances. After Murong Yu, it was the true martial temple's Han Xingyang against the 9 cauldron sects He Gaojie. Both of them were extremely powerful. Perhaps they were influenced by Murong Yu and Shi Kongsheng. Once they came out, they unleashed their strongest attacks. They even used their sect's ultimate technique. It was a clash of ultimate techniques. The fight was extremely intense. In the end, the 9 cauldron sects He Gaojie lost to Han Xingyang helplessly. Although their abilities were on par, there was no second place in martial arts. There was still someone who was slightly stronger. After the winner was decided, there was one last pair of opponents left. Unparalleled Palaces Fei Yuqin and Bai Luo Palaces Mei Shanshan. Both of them were at the same level and had similar abilities. Moreover, they were both devastatingly beautiful. Therefore, before the battle began, many people in the square were already excited. Being able to watch their battle made them excited. Being able to watch the battle between 2 great beauties made them even more excited. And these 2 beauties didn't disappoint the hopes of these people. Listening to their graceful and charming bodies fighting, it was very enjoyable for the crowd to watch. However, no matter how exciting the battle was, there would always be an end. After a long while, Unparalleled Palaces Fei Yuqin defeated Bai Luo Palaces Mei Shanshan with her powerful abilities and won. This woman can at least enter the top 3, Murong Yu thought to himself. Including him, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua was second and Fei Yuqin was third. Even true martial temple's Han Xingyang was no match for her. Feng Xian's abilities were below Han Xingyang's. As for first place, it was undoubtedly Murong Yu. When Murong Yu came to participate in this martial arts competition, the first place was already his. At least, that was what he thought. Next was the competition for the top 5. With the help of true martial temple's elders and medicinal pills, everyone who had experienced the battle recovered to their peak condition. Of course, Murong Yu did not need this help at all. Therefore, he directly rejected it. This made some people dislike him, thinking that he was too arrogant and stubborn. However, some people with sharp eyes could see that Murong Yu did not use any energy at all. This discovery shocked them even more and made them even more curious about Murong Yu. Murong Yu, Fei Yuqin, Shui Yuanhua, Han Xingyang, and Feng Xian. The champion would be born from these 5 people. Soon, their order of appearance was arranged. Fei Yuqin would fight Han Xingyang, Murong Yu would fight Feng Xian, and Turtle King Shui Yuanhua would have a bye. Originally, they should be very happy to have a bye. After all, they did not need to fight and directly advance. However, Shui Yuanhua cursed a few times in a very unhappy mood. He glared fiercely at Murong Yu and the other 3, then left resentfully. Does this guy have masochistic tendencies? Murong Yu and the others were quite speechless. A fierce battle between a dragon and a tiger began again. Fei Yuqin against Han Xingyang. This battle was more intense than any previous battle. It was really earth-shattering, and the sun and moon lost their light. However, just as Murong Yu had guessed before, Han Xingyang was not weak. In the end, he was no match for Fei Yuqin. He was eliminated by her and lost the chance to compete for the championship. Then, Morong Yu went up. Morong Yu, I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. Aren't you arrogant? Today, I'll let you see the true experts of Cloud-Piercing Island. Feng Xian roared and charged towards Morong Yu. Whether it's Cloud-Piercing Island or true Martial Temple, no one is my match. The championship is mine. And you are no exception. Morong Yu smiled faintly and used the Heavenly King Grand Sage technique at the same time. When the golden armor Heavenly King appeared, Feng Xian lost his mind. Even if it was only 1/100th of an instant, it was enough. Go back for me. Morong Yu's voice suddenly rang in Feng Xian's ears. Then, Feng Xian suddenly felt a sharp pain in his body, and his entire body flew backward. When he reacted, he had already returned to the Cloud-Piercing Island seat. It was obvious that he had lost. He was defeated by Morong Yu in one move. He was the one who lost the fastest and most thoroughly in the top 10. You lost. Just as Feng Xian was about to rush back and fight Morong Yu once more, Morong Yu smiled at him and said, "All right, I'll take care of you." Feng Xian was furious and filled with killing intent. However, he also knew that he had lost. Regardless of whether it was out of consideration for himself or for the Cloud-Piercing Island, Feng Xian could only glare fiercely at Morong Yu before sitting down cross-legged and closing his eyes. What the eye doesn't see, the heart doesn't grieve over. Chapter 1484. When Morong Yu returned, Wu Xinshui said with a smile, "I thought there would be a fierce battle, but I didn't expect junior brother to win so quickly." Morong Yu smiled. He knew his own situation. Whether it was defeating Shi Kongxing or Feng Xian, Morong Yu had actually used tricks. These two people were both peak ancient sages, and had strength that exceeded their own realm. If they fought, Morong Yu might not lose, but it would definitely take a lot of effort. However, when he faced Shi Kongxing, because of his powerful soul, he was able to quickly defeat Shi Kongxing in a clash of their minds. In fact, if Shi Kongxing didn't admit defeat so quickly, he might be able to suppress Morong Yu with his powerful strength. At least, he wouldn't let Morong Yu win so easily. And against Feng Xian, Morong Yu was able to send Feng Xian flying in an instant because of the Heavenly King Grand Sage art. If it was a life-and-death battle, Morong Yu's attack wouldn't be able to injure Feng Xian, let alone kill him. But this was only a martial arts competition. Being sent out of the square, Feng Xian was naturally considered to have lost. Of course, in terms of strength, Morong Yu might not be as strong as these experts. But with his identity as a soul sage, and the Heavenly King Grand Sage art and other battle skills, he would definitely be able to sweep these geniuses. In fact, Morong Yu had already planned to use his soul force. However, he hadn't met a strong opponent before and only used the Heavenly King Grand Sage art to defeat his opponent. But whether Morong Yu faced Shui Yuanhua or Fei Yuqin, it was impossible for him to use the Heavenly King Grand Sage art to win, because they were already on guard against this battle skill. Morong Yu, Fei Yuqin, and Shui Yuanhua were fighting for the championship. After resting for a while, the three of them went up to draw lots. This time, Morong Yu's first time was very good. All he needed to do was to compete with the winner of the next battle. The championship is mine, whether it's the unparalleled palace or the seamless sect. Morong Yu, Fei Yuqin, just admit defeat. Otherwise, I'll make you guys lose miserably. Shui Yuanhua had just finished drawing the lots and was already talking big. Brat, although I don't know what you have on you, I can't help you. However, you're dead for sure. At the same time, Shui Yuanhua's voice sounded in Morong Yu's ears. Morong Yu smiled faintly. That's what I wanted to say to you. You're dead meat. After saying that, Morong Yu stepped into the air and quickly left the square. Immediately, Shui Yuanhua and Fei Yuqin began their battle. At the same time, the battle for the championship on the other side had also begun. Yu Yangjia of the Infernal Society and a primal chaos ancestral saint of the true martial temple. However, at this time, their battle had already been transferred to another spacetime by the Almighty of the true martial temple. Both of them were extremely powerful, and the residual power they unleashed could easily destroy the formations and restrictions on the square. Therefore, to prevent accidental injuries, they could only transfer to another spacetime to fight. In any case, at this level of battle, many people present could not even see their move. The Tortoise King's defense is too strong. Experts of the same level would find it difficult to break through. Lu Xiankai shook his head helplessly as he watched the battle between the two. In fact, it was only Fei Yuqin attacking while the Tortoise King was defending. The Tortoise King's defense is very strong. It's almost perfect. It's nothing for us to worry about, but experts of the same level, even those at the peak of the Sage Ruler stage, would find it difficult to break through, Wu Xinshui said. There was no strongest defense, only absolute defense. For example, the Tortoise King's defense was close to perfect. However, due to the limitations of his own strength, he could only defend against someone 2 realms higher than him at most. At the level of an ancestral saint, his defense was not very useful. For example, Wu Xinshui could break through his defense with a casual slash. Not to mention experts at the level of a primal chaos ancestral saint. Fei Yuqin will definitely not be able to break through the Tortoise King's defense. Unless she has an ancestral artifact or a primal chaos ancestral artifact that can activate its power, Lu Xiankai continued. An ancestral artifact that could activate its power was equivalent to an ancestral saint, while a primal chaos ancestral artifact was equivalent to a primal chaos ancestral saint. With the strength of an ancestral saint, of course, she could break through the Tortoise King's defense. However, Fei Yuqin could only control a sage artifact at most. After all, she was only an ancient saint. Little junior brother, are you confident that you can break through the Tortoise King's defense? Wu Xinshui and Wu Xinshui looked at Murongyu with a hint of worry in their eyes. If Murongyu could not break through the Tortoise King's defense, then he would miss out on the championship. Murongyu shook his head. He could not say for sure before coming into contact with the Tortoise King. However, although the Tortoise King's defense was strong, it was definitely not invincible. There had to be a way to break it. The battle ended very quickly. Fei Yuqin was very strong, but she was helpless against the Tortoise King. She wanted to exhaust the Tortoise King's strength, but she realized that the Tortoise King was still standing there without any energy consumption. In the end, she could only admit defeat helplessly. Ha ha! Murongyu, hurry up and come out to meet your death. Shui Yuanhua refused to rest. He looked at Murongyu from the square and laughed loudly. His laughter was full of disdain, contempt, and arrogance. Murongyu stood up from his seat with an indifferent expression. He took a step forward and appeared in front of the Tortoise King. Murongyu, everything on you is mine. Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua looked at Murongyu with a ferocious expression. The closer he got to Murongyu, the more his cultivation technique pulsed. It was as if it was going to burst out of his body. If I can refine the things on him, my defense will become stronger. I might be able to withstand the attack of an expert who is 3 realms higher than me. Shui Yuanhua's eyes flashed with a cold light, but he was thinking in his heart. Of course, he couldn't kill Murongyu here. Unless he could kill Murongyu in one blow, he wouldn't be able to kill Murongyu, let alone take the things on Murongyu's body. The other disciples of the Infernal Society and the elders of the true martial temple wouldn't allow him to do so. First, I'll defeat him here, then wait for him to leave the true martial temple before killing him. Shui Yuanhua's heart was filled with killing intent. He didn't know that Murongyu was also thinking of the same thing. Your tortoise shell is indeed strong, but it's just a joke in front of me. Murongyu suppressed the restless, 9 words mantra in his body and said indifferently. Akala Seal. Shui Yuanhua roared and assumed a defensive posture. 1,000 Army Elephant Fist! Murong Yu roared at the same time and punched out. Boom! Murong Yu's fist fiercely bombarded the Tortoise King's defensive barrier. Suddenly, the barrier flickered with holy light and soared into the sky. At the same time, Murong Yu felt that the power he blasted out was like a flood that was released from a dam, quickly pouring out in torrents. Murong Yu's keen senses told him that a portion of the power he'd sent out had been absorbed by the defensive barrier, while a portion of it had been deflected. The rest of it had circulated around the defensive barrier before returning to him at lightning speed. Recoil. When Murong Yu truly came into contact with the Tortoise King, he realized just how strong the barrier was. It could be said that the Tortoise King didn't even need to use his own power to exhaust his opponent to death. Moreover, he was using his opponent's power to exhaust his opponent to death. However, the stronger the Tortoise King's barrier was, the happier Murong Yu was. Immediately, the power in Murong Yu's body surged and he punched out again. Boom! After a loud explosion, the Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua stood in place without moving, but Murong Yu couldn't help but take a step back. Even Murong Yu isn't the Tortoise King's opponent. It seems that the Tortoise King will be the champion this time. It's really shameful. The champion is actually a disciple outside the 10 Holy Lands? The 10 Holy Lands really lost a lot of face this time. Many people from the 10 Holy Lands felt that they had lost face and were somewhat unhappy. But the people outside the 10 Holy Lands cheered. Although they weren't from the heaven-suppressing sect, and some forces were even at odds with them. In this competition, the Tortoise King represented not only the heaven-suppressing sect, but also all the forces outside the 10 Holy Lands. Since ancient times, it was impossible for them to suppress the people from the 10 Holy Land. But now, if the Tortoise King won the championship, it would definitely be a landmark event. It was worth celebrating. Cheers. With my strength, even if I reach the peak of the profound sage realm, I'm afraid that I won't be able to break the Tortoise King's barrier. Moreover, although I have more than 70 ancestral artifacts now, I might not be able to reach the peak of the profound sage realm after refining them all. Thoughts flashed through Murong Yu's mind like lightning. The Heavenly King Great Sage technique might be able to make him lose his mind, but it won't be able to break his barrier. Do I really have to use a soul attack? Although Murong Yu had long been prepared to use a soul attack, he still didn't want to expose all his cards so quickly. After all, he was already close to being the tallest tree in the forest. He was a genius in alchemy and refining. His strength exceeded his own by 2 realms. Moreover, he was a soul sage. So many heaven-defying abilities were on Murong Yu's body. At that time, how many people would covet him? He was afraid that those old monsters of the true martial temple wouldn't be able to resist taking him down, even if they had to fall out with the unbroken path. There must be some other way, Murong Yu thought. Suddenly, a light flashed in his mind. The flame of primal chaos was known to burn everything. The 9 secret words might be very powerful, but could it be above the primal chaos that evolved everything? That was impossible. The 9 secret words were also created by powerhouses. As for powerhouses, their lives were derived from the primal chaos. The primal chaos was the mother of all things. The primal chaos could evolve everything, but it could also annihilate everything. Boom! In an instant, the black flame of primal chaos erupted from Murong Yu's body, instantly submerging Murong Yu. Chapter 1485. Rumble. As Murong Yu's body was engulfed by the primal chaos flames, the flames that filled the sky also spread out and enveloped Shui Yuanhua in an instant. Not only that, but the endless primal chaos flames also engulfed the Turtle King's defensive barrier layer by layer and began to burn it. Sizzle. In just an instant, a series of ear-piercing sounds were heard. It was the sound of the Turtle King's protective barrier being burned. Murong Yu had succeeded. At this moment, some people in the square cheered. Most of them were disciples from the 10 great saint lands, as well as some who could not stand the Turtle King's arrogance. However, the hearts of many people outside the 10 great saint lands sank. This was because the Turtle King represented them at this moment. If the Turtle King could not defend against Morong Yu's attack, he would not be able to win the championship. What level of flames are Morong Yu's black flames? They can actually burn the Turtle King's defensive barrier? One must know that before this, other people have also tried to burn this defensive barrier, but they could not even shake it. Morong Yu was not the first person to use fire to burn the Turtle King's defensive barrier, but he was the first person who could shake it. The originally arrogant Turtle King Shui Yuanhua was shocked when he saw this. He thought that Morong Yu could really break his attack. However, after the shock, he laughed out loud. It was true that the primal chaos flames could burn his defensive barrier. However, the burning effect was almost negligible. That was because the consumption was very little. If this continued, it would take a few years for the Turtle King's defensive barrier to be broken. Moreover, he could replenish his energy to the barrier at any time. Moreover, he had a large number of pills that could replenish his energy in his storage ring. If this continued, even if he was burned by Morong Yu for decades or even centuries, his defensive barrier would not be broken. However, would the true martial temple allow this battle to take so much time? Most importantly, would Morong Yu be able to maintain this state? How long could his energy sustain the primal chaos flames? Morong Yu, I'll give you a century to burn my defensive barrier. Haha! Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua laughed loudly. He was extremely arrogant. Is that so? Morong Yu sneered in a non-committal manner. Whatever Turtle King Shui Yuanhua could think of, he naturally thought of it as well. What Turtle King Shui Yuanhua said was the truth. At this rate, Morong Yu would indeed need a few decades to break through his defensive barrier. Of course, using a soul attack was another matter altogether. In fact, Morong Yu had another method to defeat Turtle Monarch Shui Yuanhua in one fell swoop. Taking out the supreme artifact, the Violet Heavenly Sieve Pagoda, could instantly turn Turtle Monarch Shui Yuanhua into ashes. However, that would expose the fact that Morong Yu possessed a supreme weapon. At that time, apart from the Seamless Society, the other 10 Holy Lands would definitely try their best to snatch his supreme weapon. He couldn't even leave the true martial sacred hall. Moreover, Morong Yu didn't want to turn Turtle King Shui Yuanhua into ashes. At the very least, he wouldn't do that before he obtained the 9 syllables of truth. Of course, Morong Yu could also put Turtle King Shui Yuanhua into the Hichu Luoshu and use the time acceleration to easily defeat him. However, Morong Yu didn't want to expose the Hichu Luoshu. Therefore, what Morong Yu needed to do now was to raise his cultivation level. The higher his cultivation level, the purer the primal chaos flames would be, and the stronger the power it could unleash would be. At this time, Morong Yu had 72 ancestral artifacts, which could raise his cultivation level by several small levels. I didn't think that I would still need to raise my cultivation level. Morong Yu sighed. With a thought, the 16 ancestral artifacts were directly transferred from the Hichu Luoshu into his body, and then into the primal chaos furnace. The primal chaos furnace shook slightly, and the 16 ancestral artifacts were refined into incomparably pure energy in an instant. Then, a vast amount of energy gushed out from the primal chaos furnace, and surged into Morong Yu's body. At that moment, everyone watched as Morong Yu's aura began to rapidly rise. Swish, swish, swish. Morong Yu was originally a 4th-level profound sage, an early 4th-level profound sage. However, at this time, some people with higher cultivation levels than Morong Yu saw that Morong Yu's cultivation was rapidly rising. Early 4th-order profound sage realm, mid 4th-order profound sage realm, peak 4th-order profound sage realm. Rumble. In the next moment, Morong Yu's body shook violently, and an aura several times stronger than before gushed out from his body, sweeping in all directions. The many experts who had been watching Murong Yu's cultivation couldn't help but exclaim, "Fifth Order Profound Sage Realm. Murong Yu actually broke through in the middle of a battle." Originally, breaking through in the middle of a battle was extremely dangerous, and very few people would choose to break through at this time. However, few didn't mean none. If it were someone else breaking through at this time, although it would cause some people to be surprised, they definitely wouldn't be shocked like this. Because after breaking through, Murong Yu's cultivation continued to soar. At this time, Murong Yu's primal chaos furnace had already refined 32 ancestral artifacts. In just a few breaths of time, Murong Yu jumped from the original 4th Order Profound Sage Realm to the 5th Order Profound Sage Realm. And not long after staying in this realm, he broke through again, reaching the 6th Order Profound Sage Realm. In a short period of time, Murong Yu's cultivation had broken through 2 small realms. How did he cultivate at the same time? How could he break through so quickly? It should be known that when Murong Yu entered the true martial temple, he was only in the undead realm. In just 1 or 2 months, his cultivation had risen from the peak of the undead realm to the 6th Order Profound Sage Realm. Not only did he break through 6 small realms, but he also crossed the barrier of a large realm. And this barrier was not something that even a peerless genius could break through at will. For a while, the gazes of everyone in the square were attracted by Murong Yu. Even the gazes of some old monsters of the true martial temple penetrated the layers of the void and penetrated Murong Yu's body. This is really infuriating. This boy was originally a disciple of our true martial temple, but now he's really infuriating. Some old monsters of the true martial temple were so angry that their faces turned ashen. Seeing that Murong Yu was such a monstrous genius, but he was a member of another force, they were definitely unhappy. Moreover, Murong Yu's strength was still increasing. However, now that Murong Yu had reached the 6th Order Profound Sage Realm and refined 48 ancestral artifacts, he only had 34 ancestral artifacts left. According to the previous practice, every time he broke through a small realm, he would need twice as many ancestral artifacts as the previous small realm. After using 32 ancestral artifacts, Murong Yu had advanced from the 5th Order Profound Sage Realm to the 6th Order Profound Sage Realm, and from the 6th Order Profound Sage Realm to the 7th Order Profound Sage Realm, he would need at least 64 ancestral artifacts. Therefore, after refining the 34 ancestral artifacts in his hands, he only advanced to the middle of the 6th Order Profound Sage Realm. But even so, it was enough to cause an extremely terrifying shock. As Murong Yu's strength increased, the power of the primal chaos flames he brought out also increased by 10 times. With the current power of the primal chaos flames, it would take 10 years to burn through Turtle King Shui Yuanhua's defensive barrier. The time it would take was shortened to 1/10 of the original time. At first, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua was really worried when he saw Murong Yu's strength continuously increasing. If this continued, once Murong Yu advanced to the peak of the Profound Sage Realm, the primal chaos flames would easily burn through his defensive barrier. But now it seemed that this was not the case. How could it be so easy to advance in realms? He must have swallowed some kind of natural treasure before, and just refined the remnant power of that natural treasure. Turtle King Shui Yuanhua and the majority of the people thought so. Haha, Murong Yu, why don't you continue to increase your realm? Otherwise, you will never be able to burn through my defensive barrier. Turtle King Shui Yuanhua became arrogant again. Is that so? Murong Yu only smiled faintly. I don't want to use fire to burn you to death. Instead, Murong Yu said with a smile on his face. However, everyone was baffled by his words. Could it be that Murong Yu had other methods? While everyone was guessing, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua felt that something was wrong. From Murong Yu's smile, he could see a strong sense of danger. Heavenly tribulation, come for me! Just as everyone was guessing that the Turtle King had smelled danger, Murong-Yu roared. Rumble, at this moment, layers of incomparably thick tribulation clouds appeared out of thin air, enveloping the entire true martial temple. As for the square where Murong-Yu was, the tribulation clouds were so thick that they almost pressed down to the ground. Suddenly, an extremely oppressive and dangerous aura spread out, enveloping everyone's heart, causing everyone's expression to change. Heavenly tribulation. Murong-Yu actually attracted a heavenly tribulation. Everyone reacted one after another. Some of them didn't hesitate to flee into the distance. The more people there were, the more terrifying the power of the heavenly tribulation was. With so many experts erupting together, the power of the heavenly tribulation would be incomparably terrifying. Other than a small number of primal chaos ancestral sages, the sages of the other realms would probably be blasted into nothingness. Therefore, the experts who realized that the situation was critical did not have time to blame Murong-Yu. All of them used their great abilities and began to move the people near the square to other places. At the same time, restrictions appeared out of thin air, isolating the square from the true martial temple. This was to prevent the heavenly tribulation from sensing other people and causing any accident. Heavenly tribulation. The Turtle King's expression suddenly changed. He was not afraid of anything but the heavenly tribulation. Judging from the strength of the heavenly tribulation that Murong-Yu had attracted, even if he could withstand it, he would have to pay a huge price. However, if he left now, the heavenly tribulation would naturally not affect him. However, anyone could leave the square at this time, but he could not. Once he left the square's range, he would be considered to have lost. Although Shui Yuanhua was arrogant, the more arrogant a person was, the stronger their pride. His pride did not allow him to leave the square at this time. He wanted to resist the heavenly tribulation head-on. Chapter 1486. From the cultivation world to the current sacred world, every time he broke through a realm, Murong-Yu would be baptized by the heavenly tribulation. It had not changed for many years. It was just that his strength was getting stronger and stronger, and the power of the heavenly tribulation was getting more and more terrifying. However, it could not continue to do anything to Murong-Yu. Therefore, every time he broke through, Murong-Yu would trigger a heavenly tribulation and undergo a baptism. However, these heavenly tribulations did not pose any threat to him. Thus, he had always quietly undergone his tribulation and was done with it. But now, Murong-Yu decided to share this heavenly tribulation with Turtle King Shui Yuanhua. This was because he had broken through to the profound sage realm in the true martial sacred hall, so he had no time to go through the tribulation. Previously, he had raised his realm to the 6th level of the profound sage realm in order to make the heavenly tribulation even more powerful. Boom! The tribulation lightning fell very quickly. Just as everyone retreated, the first wave of tribulation lightning had already struck. However, this wave of tribulation lightning was divided into two, bombarding Murong-Yu and Turtle King Shui Yuanhua respectively. After an earth-shattering explosion, Murong-Yu stood in place without moving. The power of the first wave of tribulation lightning was already quite strong. If it was an ordinary ancient sage, they would have been directly struck to death. However, Murong-Yu's strength was very strong, and this level of tribulation lightning was not a threat to him at all. Moreover, his physical body had been upgraded to a high-grade sacred artifact in the lightning small world, so it had a certain resistance to lightning. Therefore, when this wave of tribulation lightning struck Murong-Yu's body, it was like scratching an itch for him. It was insignificant. On the other side, the Turtle King's defense was really strong. After the first wave of tribulation lightning struck, he stood in place without moving. However, the surface of the defensive barrier he had propped up was flickering with lightning, and the holy light was erratic. Looking through the defensive barrier, Murong Yu saw the Turtle King grimacing in pain. This guy could absorb the power of attacks. Ordinary lightning might not have any effect on him, and he could still absorb it. However, the lightning power of the heavenly tribulation was the most violent. After absorbing the power of the tribulation lightning, it quickly destroyed his meridians, flesh and bones. Although the Tortoise King quickly suppressed him, he still grimaced in pain from the electricity. Furthermore, this was only the first lightning tribulation. Murong Yu's heavenly tribulation had a total of 81 stages. The power of the heavenly tribulation is only SOSO. After safely passing through the first lightning tribulation, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua once again laughed loudly. He was still as arrogant as before. Murong Yu sneered, "This is only the first level of tribulation lightning. Do you know how big this heavenly tribulation is? 81 levels of tribulation lightning? Furthermore, each layer was more terrifying than the last. Take your time and enjoy it." Hearing this, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua's face froze. He could no longer smile. "Humph, I don't believe that your defense is stronger than mine." Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua laughed nastily. "Perhaps my defense isn't as strong as yours, but I can block this tribulation lightning. In the end, the loser will be you, and the champion will still be me." Murong Yu sneered. Going through the heavenly tribulation didn't only rely on a strong defense. It also required a strong physical body and other aspects. With Murong Yu's physical body and other abilities, he could definitely block this heavenly tribulation. Rumble, rumble, wave after wave of tribulation lightning continued to strike down. The first 10 waves of tribulation lightning were easily blocked by the 2 of them. However, after the 10th wave, the Tortoise King started to struggle. This was because the power of the tribulation lightning was too terrifying. The more terrifying the tribulation lightning was, the more difficult it was for the Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua's defensive barrier to block it. Furthermore, the more violent the tribulation lightning was, the less he could absorb. He didn't even dare to absorb it anymore. Therefore, he could only rely on the elixirs that he carried with him to recover the energy that he consumed. Once the elixirs were used up, it would be the time for his turtle shell to shatter. At the 20th wave, the Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua had already started to consume the elixirs. This was because he was already resisting the elixirs. If he didn't consume the elixirs, his energy would be shattered at any time. At this moment, Murong Yu was still as calm as ever. It was as if these weren't tribulation lightning but ordinary lightning. Seeing that he was having such a hard time resisting it, Murong Yu was having such an easy time. The Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua gritted his teeth in hatred. He couldn't wait to slap Murong Yu to death. However, how could he have extra energy to attack Murong Yu? Moreover, he didn't dare to get close to Murong Yu. If he got close to Murong Yu, he would have to endure the tribulation lightning of 2 people at the same time. This wasn't something that he could bear. He couldn't, but Murong Yu could. Therefore, a dangerous smile appeared on Murong Yu's face. Just as the Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua was on guard, he took a step forward and disappeared from the spot. Without any warning, the Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua's expression changed abruptly. He quickly retreated. At the same time, an extremely dangerous aura appeared in his heart. Whoosh! Sure enough, just as he retreated, Murong Yu's figure appeared at the place where he was standing just a moment ago. "Tortoise King, today I'll shatter your turtle shell." Murong Yu smiled. He took another step forward and charged forward. The Tortoise King was so frightened that his expression changed. He quickly retreated. However, how could his speed compare to Murong Yu's? Boom! By the time Murong Yu appeared in front of him, a bolt of tribulation lightning had already struck down. Therefore, the 2 of them endured twice the amount of tribulation lightning. Murong Yu, on the other hand, wasn't affected much. Only his clothes were fluttering from the impact. However, the Tortoise King's turtle shell shook violently. Lightning flashed. Puff, the Tortoise King spat out a mouthful of blood. It was unknown whether it was because he was injured by the tribulation lightning or because he was angered by Morongyu. What? The Tortoise King actually spat out blood. He was actually injured by Morongyu to the point of spitting out blood. Morongyu, on the other hand, is completely fine. At that moment, many people cried out in alarm. Although it was the tribulation lightning's ability, the tribulation lightning was triggered by Morongyu. Moreover, wasn't Morongyu fine? Therefore, when comparing the two, Morongyu was still stronger. It seems like the Tortoise King is going to fail. He's no match for Morongyu. The surrounding people's gazes pierced through the layers of void and watched the battle between the two. The Tortoise King was furious. However, he could only retreat. He could not avoid Morongyu. However, Morongyu followed suit. He was like a shadow attached to the Tortoise King's body. He was like a gangrene attached to the Tortoise King's bones. In fact, during this process, Morongyu had also unleashed his most berserk attack. The Tribulation Lightning's attack was Morongyu's most violent attack. Not long after, the Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua could not take it anymore. He swallowed all kinds of pills that could replenish his strength in big mouthfuls. The pills in his storage ring were about to be used up. However, the tribulation had not yet reached the 50th layer. How terrifying is Morongyu's physical body! These tribulation lightning can't shake him. Seeing Morongyu casually strolling around, many people, including the primal chaos ancestor sages, were shocked. For them, they only needed to shake their bodies to disperse the tribulation lightning. However, Morongyu was only a profound sage after all. Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua, are you still not going to admit defeat? Morongyu said loudly as he continued to bombard the Tortoise King. The Tortoise King was furious. His killing intent surged. However, he did not say a word. He kept dodging Morongyu while eating pills. Suddenly, the Tortoise King Shui Yuanhua stretched out his hand and grabbed the air. However, he caught nothing. His pills had been used up. Upon seeing this, Morongyu sneered. What? You don't have any more pills? How long can your tortoise shell last? The Tortoise King looked at the thick tribulation clouds in the sky with an ugly expression. His eyes flickered with struggle. I admit defeat. In the end, after hesitating for a long time, the Tortoise King gritted his teeth and admitted defeat. At the same time, he soared into the sky and shot out of the true martial temple. Although he could not cut off the heavenly tribulation like this, he could divert it. The most important thing was that he would not let Morongyu get close to him again. Although it was dangerous for one person to transcend the tribulation, it was much better than having to endure the tribulation of two people. Therefore, he chose to stay away from the true martial temple. Morongyu did not chase after him. He just smiled coldly. Then, he stood in the square and calmly transcended the tribulation. Although Morongyu had won, the elders of the true martial temple did not stand up. It was not that they did not recognize Morongyu's victory. In fact, they did not want to get involved in the tribulation. Once they were involved in the tribulation, it would be triggered when they reached the primal chaos ancestor saint realm. Perhaps the first stage of the tribulation would be enough to kill Morongyu. At the same time, they might not be able to transcend the tribulation safely. Bolts of tribulation lightning continuously struck down. A terrifying pressure enveloped the entire true martial temple. However, Morongyu was really good at transcending the tribulation. No matter how violent the tribulation was, he still managed to transcend it safely. In fact, Morongyu's physical body was strong enough to begin with. Moreover, every time he broke through a major realm, he would be baptized by the tribulation. It could be said that his physical body was full of radiance from the tribulation. Over time, his physical body had developed a certain level of resistance to the heavenly tribulation. It was because of this that it became easier for him to transcend the tribulation. unless the tribulation was so terrifying that it surpassed Morong Yu's limit. Morong Yu wins. He is the champion of this martial arts competition. After the dust settled, the elders of the true martial temple appeared to give Morong Yu the award. At the same time, the people who had been hiding appeared one after another. However, everyone looked at Morong Yu as if they were looking at a monster. Morong Yu had monstrous talent, aptitude, and powerful strength. Moreover, he could withstand the tribulation lightning. Not only did people think that he was monstrous and a genius, but he was also mysterious. At this time, Morong Yu also learned that the higher-level martial arts competition had fallen. Yu Yangjia did not disappoint and won the championship. So far, 4 out of the 5 champions of this exchange had fallen into the hands of the infernal organization. Only the lowest level of the martial arts competition had been won by the true martial temple. This was because the infernal organization did not have a disciple of that level. Otherwise, the infernal organization might have a grand slam. Chapter 1487. 4 Champions. The infernal agency, who almost never participated in the 10 Great Holy Lands exchange, was the biggest winner this time. After becoming the champion of the Armament Refining Assembly, Morong Yu received a great heavenly essence pill, which could increase a refiner's ability to inscribe formations. The sky-piercing vitality pill was the reward for the champion of the alchemy conference. It could increase the compatibility between the alchemist and the pill. In other words, it could increase the compatibility between the pill and the pill when the alchemist formed the pill. Morong Yu defeated Turtle King Shui Yuanhua and won the Great Heavenly Origin pill, which could allow an ancient sage to break through to the sage ruler realm. Aside from Morong Yu, Yu Yangjia had also become the champion of their level. He had obtained a pill that could increase the primal chaos ancestor sage's comprehension and help them break through to the supremacy stage, the 9 Suns Soaring Dragon True Pellet. These pills were quite useful to Morong Yu, especially the Heavenly Peiyuan Qi pill and the Supreme Heavenly Origin Qi pill. Although the other 2 pills didn't have much of an effect on Morong Yu, they were extremely important to the others. Thus, when Morong Yu's group of 4 returned to the true martial Sacred Hall's mountain peak, Morong Yu got straight to the point and asked Yu Yangjia, 4th senior brother, "Can you give me this medicinal pill for the time being?" Yu Yangjia was stunned. Lu Xiankai and Wu Xinshui were also stunned. There were so many sages in the holy world who didn't want to become a supremacy. It would be too hypocritical to say that they didn't want to become a supremacy. However, there were only 10 supremacies in the holy world. Even so, it was impossible to stop others from wanting to become a supremacy. Maybe one day, a supremacy would fall and they would break through at that time? Maybe they would become one of the 10 supremacies in the holy world. This was especially true for primal chaos ancestor sages. After obtaining the Great Heavenly Origin pill, Yu Yangjia's chances of breaking through to the supremacy realm would be much higher. However, why did Morong Yu suddenly want this pill? Did he not know how important this pill was to Yu Yangjia? Lu Xiankai and Wu Xinshui were puzzled. Haha, junior brother, here you go. After being stunned for a moment, Yu Yangjia laughed heartily and handed the 9 Suns Soaring Dragon True Pellet to Morong Yu. There was no hesitation, but he didn't hide the look in his eyes. Yes, although he handed it to Morong Yu without hesitation, it was impossible for him to remain indifferent. Morong Yu was shocked. He'd only asked casually and had even prepared a lot of reasons to convince Yu Yangjia. However, he never imagined that Yu Yangjia would be so generous as to give such an important medicinal pill to Morong Yu. He couldn't even speak the words he prepared. Yu Yangjia wasn't just being generous. He truly loved and cared for Morong Yu, the kind of love a senior brother would have for a junior brother. He Yu Yangjia's Yu Yangjia? He trusted Yangjia Yu Yangjia. Morong Yu was quite touched, but he still accepted the 9 suns soaring dragon true pellet. He wanted this pill anyway. Fourth senior brother, soon, you will find that your actions today are worth it. You will not regret it. Murong Yu said to Yu Yangjiao with a serious face. Lu Xiankai and Wu Xinshui looked at each other, then Lu Xiankai asked Murong Yu Yangjiao in surprise, Junior brother, you want to refine the great heavenly origin pill? The 3 of them weren't idiots. They just didn't react in time. Now, they understood Murong Yu Yangjiao's meaning. Murong Yu Yangjia nodded. That was his intention. Once he succeeded, everyone in the infernal society would have a share. Some of Shengzhen's disciples would also have a share. This was something that was beneficial to everyone. They could maximize the benefits of this pill. The 3 of them were overjoyed. If Murong Yu Yangjia could really refine it, they would be the ones who would benefit the most. Yu Yangjia said, Junior brother, if you need anything, just tell us. With our strength, it's much better for us to gather all these materials than for you to gather them alone. Murong Yu Yangjia nodded. He wasn't worried about the heaven and earth treasures he needed. After all, the yin-yang cauldron didn't need any materials to refine these pills. It was just that the great heavenly origin pill was too high level. Murong Yu Yangjia was worried that he wouldn't be able to refine it at this stage. In the following time, Murong Yu Yangjia's group didn't immediately leave the true martial temple. They deliberately stayed behind. Because in the past few days, countless people had come to visit them. Among them, most of them were here for Murong Yu. After all, a monster like Murong Yu Yangjia was someone they could befriend. Of course, there was no lack of people who wanted to kill Murong Yu Yangjia. The taller the tree in the forest, the more the wind would destroy it. The more monstrous Murong Yu Yangjia was, the more some people hated him and wanted to kill him. After all, once Murong Yu Yangjia fully matured, how heaven-defying would he be? Would their existence be the most dangerous? Everything was unknown. Therefore, many people wanted to find out the truth about Murong Yu Yangjia. If they had the chance, they would definitely kill him. This kind of thing was the same even in the mortal world. However, these people were obviously disappointed. After Murong Yu Yangjia returned, he went into seclusion. Only Yu Yangjia and the other 2 were receiving him. After a few days, the number of people staying in the true martial temple became fewer and fewer. On this day, Murong Yu Yangjia suddenly appeared in the main hall. Senior brothers, I still have some matters to attend to, so I won't be returning with you. After Murong Yu Yangjia appeared, he suddenly announced. Yu Yangjia and the other 2 were shocked. Junior brother, although you're in the limelight now, and many people want to befriend you. However, there are also many people who want to kill you. It's safer for you to return with us. Lu Xiankai said with a worried expression. Murong Yu Yangjia shook his head. What he was going to do was very secretive, and it was not suitable for him to act with Yu Yangjia and the other 2. Otherwise, if word got out, it would cause a war between the major forces. Junior brother, you have to be careful. Although Yu Yangjia did not know what Murong Yu Yangjia was going to do, he still made the decision. Therefore, the 4 of them bid farewell to the true martial temple and left together. As soon as they appeared outside the true martial temple, Yu Yangjia and the others frowned slightly. Because at this moment, outside the true martial temple, there were countless people watching them, both in the open and in the dark. It was obvious that a considerable number of these people were monitoring Murong Yu Yangjia. There was no lack of disciples from other sacred ground. Therefore, Yu Yangjia and the others were a little worried. Senior brothers, let's part ways here. Murong Yu Yangjia naturally felt it, but he ignored it. After cupping his fists at Yu Yangjia and the other 2, he soared into the sky and directly shattered the void, shooting into the distance. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Almost at the same time that Murong Yu Yangjia left, more than half of the people who were secretly monitoring them disappeared instantly. As expected, They were targeting Morong Yu. Fourth senior brother, will junior brother be okay? Wu Xinshui asked worriedly. It's fine. With junior brother's ability, he will definitely not send himself to death. We don't need to worry. Let's go back to the infernal division first. Yu Yangjia replied. At the same time, he soared into the sky and flew in the direction of the infernal division. What a fast speed! Damn it, I can't catch up. In the sky, a high-level holy king looked at the rapidly disappearing black dot in front of him and cursed with a dark face. His speed was definitely one of the best among the experts of the same level, and he was adept at tracking. It was because of this that he was sent to track Morong Yu Yangjia. However, Morong Yu Yangjia's speed was too terrifying. In a short period of time, he had shaken off most of them. The speed that they were so proud of was nothing in front of Morong Yu Yangjia. Furthermore, when Morong Yu flew through the air, he didn't leave any traces behind. At least, they could not find any traces left behind by Morong Yu Yangjia. Morong Yu Yangjia was very proficient in using the power of space. When he swept through the void, he naturally would not leave any traces behind. There are still people chasing after us? Ancestral saints? Morong Yu shattered the void and directly shuttled through the void. In a short period of time, he had shaken off most of the people. However, there were still a few people who caught up. They were all experts at the level of Ancestral Saint. I'd like to see how you're going to track me. Morong Yu Yangjia sneered in his heart. He took a step forward and turned into a stream of light that quickly rushed down. He entered a vast mountain range and quickly disappeared. He's gone? These ancestral saints saw Morong Yu enter the mountain range with their own eyes. However, after searching for a while, they could not find any trace of Morong Yu Yangjia. However, they were sure that Morong Yu Yangjia had not left the mountain range. Therefore, they kept searching. It was not until a few days later that Morong Yu Yangjia's traces appeared in other places. Only then did they know that Morong Yu Yangjia had left the mountain range long ago. As for how he left, for a long time they were confused and could not figure it out at all. After Morong Yu Yangjia entered the mountain range, he immediately turned invisible. Then, he entered Hichu Luoshu and left the mountain range with a transmission. Even if these ancestral saints raised the endless mountain range to the ground and dug 3 feet into the ground, they would not be able to find any trace of Morong Yu Yangjia. After Morong Yu Yangjia Shui Yuanhua teleported to the other side, he walked out of Hichu Luoshu and said, "Turtle King Shui Yuanhua, I'm coming." After vaguely sensing Turtle King Shui Yuanhua's aura, he shot in another direction. On the other side, Shui Yuanhua, who had recovered from his injuries, also opened his eyes from the depths of the ground. He rushed into the sky with a grim smile and flew in the direction Morong Yu Yangjia Shui Yuanhua had come from. He didn't know why, but ever since they fought in the square, there had been a faint connection between them. As long as they were within a certain distance, they could even feel each other's existence. And if that was the case, the more they believed that the other party had something they needed. They must kill the other party. Chapter 1488. Both of them sensed each other's presence and charged towards each other with all their might. Soon, they both sensed that the other was getting closer and closer to them. They immediately knew that the other party had the same idea as them. Thus, the two of them met in the sky above a vast mountain range. Go to hell! Almost at the same time, the two of them roared and charged towards each other like shooting stars. In the blink of an eye, the two of them fiercely collided. An earth-shattering explosion erupted. Boom! After the earth-shattering explosion, a terrifying shock wave spread rapidly in all directions from the point of impact. Wherever it passed, large patches of the void would shatter. The mountain range below them had been razed to the ground. Some of the ferocious beasts were blasted to smithereens before they could even react. Bang! Bang! Murong Yu and Turtle King Shui Yuanhua were both sent flying by the terrifying shockwave. They shattered the void and appeared in the distant void. The moment before the collision, Shui Yuanhua used the Akalanatha seal. Therefore, he was only sent flying. Otherwise, his strength and physical body would have been shattered by Murong Yu's upper-grade holy artifact body. He could not withstand a single blow. Because of the Akalanatha seal, Murong Yu was also sent flying by the huge impact. However, with his fleshly body that had reached the level of a high-quality saint artifact, he was only sent flying. He was not injured. Murong Yu, I was just about to look for you. I didn't expect you to come to me. Very good. Very good. Let's see if you can still trigger the tribulation lightning this time. After stabilizing himself, Shui Yuanhua looked at Murong Yu with a ferocious smile. This was because at this time, the Akalanatha seal in his body was raging madly. The more intense this strange feeling was, the more he wanted to kill Murong Yu and take the things on Murong Yu. The stronger his desire was. In fact, it was not just Shui Yuanhua. Murong Yu was the same. And Murong Yu was even more intense than Shui Yuanhua. This was because Shui Yuanhua only practiced the Buddhist incantation of 9 words, while Murong Yu practiced 6 of them. The army formula, the Zai formula. The 6 incantations were raging at the same time. They did not need Murong Yu to circulate them at all. They almost broke out of his body. This is a sign of a breakthrough, Murong Yu thought. Before this, every time he encountered a 9 words mantra, the 9 words mantra he had cultivated before would break through once and reach a higher realm. If Murong Yu were to obtain Shui Yuanhua's 9 syllables mantra, his soldier character formula would definitely advance. Even without the heavenly tribulation lightning, Murong Yu shouted as he stomped on the void for a distance of 1,000,000 miles. His figure shattered the void and turned into a streak of light as he charged towards Shui Yuanhua. Shui Yuanhua looked ferocious. He also stepped forward with the Akalanatha seal. He crushed the sky and rushed toward Murong Yu. In the process, he even took the initiative to attack. Boom, boom, boom. So, the battle between the two began. The power was overwhelming. The endless power swept in all directions like a torrent, crushing the void and flattening the earth. The sky fell and the earth cracked. The sun and the moon lost their light. It was like the end of the world. Awesome! Murong Yu shouted. He used the great Vajrachakra seal to send Shui Yuanhua flying. The battle with Shui Yuanhua gave Murong Yu a feeling of incisiveness and vividness. For a long time, Murong Yu had rarely met an opponent who could tie with him. Otherwise, he would meet someone who was stronger than him and unable to use his full strength. Shui Yuanhua's turtle shell was too strong. It was enough to block Murong Yu's most powerful and violent attack. It allowed Murong Yu to use his most powerful moves and strength without any scruples. Moreover, during the battle, Murong Yu found that although the Akalanatha seal had the power to reflect, long-range attacks like the Great Vajrachakra seal were the best way to attack. Even if it could reflect, it could not reflect on Murong Yu. Of course, this was also because the Great Vajrachakra seal was also the Buddhist incantation of 9 syllables. If it were any other cultivation method, it would also be able to reflect the impact. Even so, the Akalanatha seal could still absorb power. Outer Lion Seal. Inner Lion Seal. Murong Yu blasted out handprints one after another. They hit Shui Yuanhua directly and suppressed him, or sent him flying. For a moment, Shui Yuanhua could not even get close to Murong Yu, let alone attack him. Although he would not be injured or killed by Murong Yu's attacks, being hit by Murong Yu like a sandbag still made the proud and arrogant Shui Yuanhua furious. He was so angry that he was about to go crazy. Bastard, if you have the ability, fight me for 300 rounds. Shui Yuanhua was about to go crazy and roared. Murong Yu took a step forward and distanced himself from Shui Yuanhua. At the same time, He used the Sun Chakra seal to send Shui Yuanhua deep into the ground. At the same time, he sneered and said, "If you have the ability, remove your turtle shell and I will fight you for 3,000 rounds." Shui Yuanhua was silent. In terms of strength, he was far inferior to Morongyu. If he removed the Akalanatha seal, he could tell himself with certainty that he would be killed by Morongyu in an instant. Humph! Shui Yuanhua snorted coldly. He crushed a mountain below with 1 foot and rushed up. He passed through layers of the void and directly hit Morongyu. After a round of battle, Shui Yuanhua clearly realized that it was impossible for him to exhaust Morongyu's strength like he did with other experts. Therefore, he could only take the initiative to attack and try to kill Morongyu. Therefore, Shui Yuanhua took the initiative to attack. He blasted out all kinds of combat skills and various holy tools. However, Morongyu's speed was unparalleled in the world. Shui Yuanhua's attacks were not enough for him to defend and leave. Therefore, he could not bombard Morongyu at all. He could not even touch the corner of his clothes. The more he fought, the angrier and more frightened Shui Yuanhua became. However, the desire for the unknown things on Morongyu made him more determined to kill Morongyu. At the same time, on the other side of the battlefield where Morongyu and Shui Yuanhua were fighting, countless accidents. Several experts with terrifying auras were flying rapidly in the void. They actually followed Morongyu's tracks and kept flying forward. If Morongyu was here, he would definitely be shocked because these people's tracking techniques were extremely professional. Moreover, each of them was very powerful. They were all experts at the Ancestor Saint level. It's impossible for a person's talent to be so heaven-defying. Morongyu definitely has some secret on him. Perhaps he has inherited some ancient inheritance. We must capture him and bring him back. On the way, the leader of the Ancestor Saints suddenly said. The other Ancestor Saints nodded. Their mission was to capture Morongyu. In addition to these people, powerhouses were constantly appearing from different directions or behind them. They were all experts at the Ancestor Saint level. Looking at the direction they were heading, they seemed to be heading in the direction of Morongyu. Obviously, their target was Morongyu. It was just that they didn't know who they were. However, Morongyu's heaven-defying abilities had already attracted the attention of the old monsters from the 10 sacred lands. Presumably, those from the 10 sacred lands would also take action against him. In the southeast direction of Morongyu, the originally clear sky suddenly darkened. At the same time, a sinister and cold aura spread out and enveloped the entire area. At this moment, countless lives, including wild beasts and human sages, felt a bone-piercing chill. At this time, some sages looked up and saw a few black shadows flashing across the sky. The cold and gloomy aura came from this black figure. However, these black shadows were extremely fast and passed by in the blink of an eye. After those black shadows passed by, the sky returned to its original clear sky. However, the sinister and cold feeling in everyone's heart did not dissipate for a long time. What's that? Everyone was puzzled. The humans are too useless. In the sky, an ancestral sage from the Een Ghost tribe sneered with a disdainful expression. They were those black shadows and belonged to the Een Ghost tribe of the Sacred Clan. They were extremely powerful. Don't be careless. If the humans were so weak, they would have been wiped out by our Sacred Clan, another ancestral sage from the Een Ghost tribe said indifferently. Hearing this, the third ancestral sage from the Een Ghost tribe said disdainfully, "The humans are just struggling at death's door. The so-called 10 sacred lands are completely useless. In my opinion, we should just wipe out the humans. As long as our Een Ghost tribe takes action, we can destroy them. Why should we let them struggle at death's door? Shut up, all of you. If the humans are so weak, how can they compete with our Sacred Clan? This time, our target is that human boy called Morongyu. There's something strange about that boy," the leader of the Een Ghost tribe scolded. They were originally ancestral sages from the Ghost tribe who had entered the human territory to train. After hearing news about Morongyu, they sent a message back. Then, they were ordered to capture Morongyu and bring him back. Furthermore, other than the Dark Ghost clan, there were other clans that had also set out to search for Morongyu. It was obvious that Morongyu's monstrous talent had made these clans want to kill him. He's just a human boy. Is there a need for the higher-ups to be so serious? Can he really become a supreme being? There were only 10 supreme beings in the sacred world. In a situation where the sovereigns didn't participate in the conflicts between the various clans, the appearance of one supreme being from each clan would change the current situation of the sacred world. It was obvious that Morongyu's monstrous talent made the sacred clan feel that he had the ability to become a supreme being. They would never allow such a person to continue living. In fact, there were too many supreme beings who were in the limelight who had been strangled in the cradle. It wasn't just the humans. The Yao clan and Sacred Clan geniuses were the same. The other clans wouldn't allow such a person to grow. They had to kill him. Chapter 1489. The wind blew and the clouds moved. People came from all directions. Ever since Morongyu had revealed his monstrous talent, he had attracted the attention of many people. The humans, the demons, and even the sacred ones had noticed him. However, they had only noticed him. They had only sent out ancestor sages to hunt down Morongyu. They had either captured him or killed him. In short, they had only one goal: to strangle Morongyu in the cradle of his growth. However, Morongyu was completely oblivious to all of this. At that moment, he was still fighting fiercely with Turtle King Shui Yuanhua in the nameless mountain range. The terrifying power continued to sweep in all directions. The originally vast and boundless nameless mountain range was also razed to the ground by the force of their impact. However, although the two of them were still fighting, they looked completely different. Morongyu looked relaxed and calm, as if he was taking a stroll in the park. On the other hand, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua looked flustered and exasperated. Although his defense had not been broken by Morongyu, he could not touch Morongyu. Being beaten like a sandbag was a psychological blow to Turtle King Shui Yuanhua. A psychological blow. Sooner or later, Turtle King would definitely be defeated by Morongyu. However, if Morongyu did not have any special methods, it would be extremely difficult for him to kill Turtle King. It was because of these thoughts that Turtle King did not run away even though he was being suppressed by Morongyu. He was still fantasizing about exhausting Morongyu's strength and then killing him. "Little bastard, kill me if you can." Turtle King Shui Yuanhua cursed in exasperation. His expression was sinister, vicious, and ferocious. "All right, since you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish." Morongyu had wanted to see if he could break through Turtle King's defense with his own strength. However, he now knew that it was impossible. Of course, Morongyu was not in a hurry. After all, his strength was limitless. He wanted to see how long Turtle King's defense could last, and whether there was a limit. However, for some reason, as time passed, an extremely obscure feeling of unease gradually appeared in his heart. Things had changed. There was a saying that went, "A long night brings many dreams." Thus, Morongyu decided to kill the Tortoise King. Turtle King Shui Yuanhua only sneered when he heard that. He did not think that Morongyu had the ability to kill him. Therefore, he did not think much of it. Soul-devouring slash. Seeing Shui Yuanhua's indifferent expression, the corner of Morongyu's mouth curled into a sneer. At the same time, he roared in his heart. At that moment, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua, Shui Morongyu, Shui Yuanhua, Shui Yuanhua. Furthermore, the incomparably strong aura of death stimulated all the hair on his body to stand on end. "What's going on?" Turtle King was shocked. At the same time, the power in his body rapidly surged, pushing the defense of his defensive barrier to the limit. At the same time, Turtle King Shui Yuanhua felt an invisible power directly penetrate the defense of the immovable seal of wisdom and sweep towards his head. Shui Yuanhua was instantly shocked. His face was filled with disbelief. Isn't it said that it can defend against any power? Unless it actively absorbs it or the defensive barrier is broken, no power can penetrate it? But what's going on now? This thought only flashed through Shui Yuanhua's mind for 1/100th of a second. At the same time, the power that made him feel danger had already rushed into his soul space. At this moment, Shui Yuanhua finally reacted. Soul power, soul attack. Murong Yu, you're actually a soul saint. Shui Yuanhua roared madly in his heart. His face was filled with shock, disbelief, and indignation. Murong Yu himself had the strength to cross two major realms. He was also a genius in alchemy and weapon refinement. Just this alone was enough to attract attention. He could be said to be a genius among geniuses. But he was actually a soul saint. In the saints' world, those who possessed even one aspect could be considered geniuses among geniuses. They were 1 in a billion, but Murong Yu possessed all 4 of them. This could no longer be described with words. If one had to describe it, then there was only one word: abnormal. Originally, after obtaining the immovable seal of wisdom, Shui Yuanhua thought that he was a peak existence among geniuses. However, ever since he had met Murong Yu, he had been dealt with one blow after another, which had struck his heart hard. And at this moment, his soul was also shattered. I'm really sorry. I forgot to tell you that I'm also a soul saint. Murong Yu smiled faintly. His voice was like a mosquito buzzing in Shui Yuanhua's ear. At the same time, Shui Yuanhua's fragile soul was shattered into millions of pieces by Murong Yu's attack. Although Shui Yuanhua's defense was strong, his attack was extremely weak. He was also not a soul saint. Therefore, after his soul was shattered, he was already dead. Although the immovable seal of wisdom was strong, it was unable to defend against soul attacks. Poof! After his soul was destroyed, Shui Yuanhua's corpse quickly fell to the ground. At the same time, a bright light shot out from his body. It broke through the void and flew towards the sky at an extremely terrifying speed. Where do you think you're going? Murong Yu's enormous divine thought had already enveloped everything within 100 million miles. When he saw that the light was trying to escape, Murong Yu made his move. He abruptly stretched out his large hand, his 5 fingers forming a claw, and swiftly grabbed at the ray of light. Rumble! Wherever the claw passed, the void collapsed. In an instant, Murong Yu's large hand broke through millions of voids and rushed to the sky. However, although he was fast, the light was even faster. Murong Yu's large hand was still an unbridgeable distance from the light. Moreover, this distance was rapidly increasing. There was no way Murong Yu would allow this light to disappear. This was because he knew that this light was one of the words in the 9 syllables Buddhist incantation that Turtle King Shui Yuanhua cultivated. If this word escaped, Murong Yu did not know if he would have a chance to meet it again. Of course, this would not only happen after Turtle King Shui Yuanhua was killed. If Murong Yu was killed, the 6 9 syllables Buddhist incantation that he cultivated would also turn into 6 lights and leave. Bang! Without any hesitation, the demon wings appeared behind Murong Yu's back. Then, they fanned wildly. With a flash of black light, Murong Yu had already broken through the void and quickly chased after it. Rumble! Just as Murong Yu chased after the light, suddenly, not far behind Murong Yu, a few extremely terrifying auras suddenly burst out. At the same time, 3 incomparably huge hands with incomparably terrifying auras broke through the sky and quickly grabbed at the light. Someone was trying to snatch the 9 syllables Buddhist incantation. Murong Yu was shocked and angry, but he did not care so much. He could only raise his strength to the limit and rush forward. It's Murong Yu. You too, take him down. I'll block that light and see what it is. An indifferent voice sounded. Then, two of the three big hands that were originally grabbing at the light changed direction and fiercely grabbed at Murongyu. Murongyu was shocked and angry because he felt a strong sense of danger. These three people gave him an aura of death. This was because they were all powerhouses of the Ancestor Sage realm. Two Ancestor Sages were attacking Murongyu. How could Murongyu, who was only in the profound Sage realm, resist? However, Murongyu had no other choice. He could only resist these people head-on. No matter what, he had to fight. Therefore, in the blink of an eye, Hichu Luoshu and the Yin-Yang Cauldron were brought out by him, respectively facing the two Ancestor Sages. Seeing Murongyu bring out two sacred tools, the two Ancestor Sages only sneered in their hearts. Then, their big hands fiercely slapped downward. Boom! Boom! Without any suspense, the Yin-Yang Cauldron could not withstand a single blow and was directly sent flying by the two Ancestor Sages. The terrifying power of the attack surged through the air, and Murongyu's mental strength was shattered a lot. Fortunately, his soul was strong, and this mental strength was still unable to cause any substantial damage to him. Moreover, although the two sacred tools were unable to block the attack of the two Ancestor Sages, they were still able to stop the attack of the two Ancestor Sages. However, it had succeeded in stopping the attacks of the two Ancestral Sages for an instant. This was the reason why Murongyu had brought out his sacred artifact. Therefore, in a flash, he had already broken through the blockade of the two big hands and rushed straight towards the light that was rapidly rushing into the distance. Humph! Seeing this, the third Ancestor Sage snorted coldly and did not attack Murongyu. Instead, he grabbed at the light at an even faster speed. Even if he did not know what the light was, how could it be ordinary if it was something that Murongyu wanted so desperately? First, he had to catch the light, then take down Murongyu. Could it be that Murongyu could escape from the attacks of three Ancestor Sages? This Ancestor Sage was much faster than Murongyu, and also much faster than the light. Seeing that he was about to catch the light in his hands, Murongyu suddenly panicked and no longer cared about hiding his strength. With a single thought, an incomparably huge amount of soul power blasted out from his spiritual space, turning into a war knife and slashing fiercely at the Ancestor Sage. The Ancestor Sage was indeed an Ancestor Sage. He was much stronger than Shui Yuanhua, who only had defense. Before the soul power could attack his physical body, he felt the danger. Therefore, he retreated to defend. It was also at this moment that his outstretched hand paused for a moment. At this moment, Murongyu's speed suddenly increased, and he smashed through the void, breaking through the Ancestor Sage's big hand and directly appearing near the light. At the same time, his big hand reached out and grabbed the light. Chapter 1490. Boom! Just as Murongyu grabbed the ray of light, a series of muffled noises erupted from his body. In an instant, 6 loud noises exploded almost at the same time. At this moment, something strange seemed to have happened in Murongyu's body. At this moment, Murongyu seemed to feel that he had become stronger than before and possessed a more terrifying combat strength than before. However, he did not pay attention to all of this. It was not that he did not want to pay attention to it, but he did not have the time to observe these changes now. This was because the three Ancestor Sages' huge hands had already shattered the void and were grabbing towards him with terrifying pressure. The void shattered and the firmament was annihilated. This put an end to the possibility of Murongyu entering Hichu Luoshu. Therefore, Murongyu could only shoot out rapidly. If he wanted to escape from the attacks of the three Ancestor Sages, he could only rely on his own speed. With a swoosh, Murongyu turned into a stream of light and disappeared from where he was standing. After he disappeared, the three Ancestor Sages' huge hands grabbed the void where he was originally at. In an instant, the void was crushed to pieces. Seeing that Murongyu had escaped from their attacks, the three Ancestor Sages' faces turned ugly and they snorted coldly. At the same time, An even more terrifying attack blasted towards Morongyu, wanting to capture Morongyu in one fell swoop. My speed is at least 50% faster than before. It's comparable to an ordinary first-rank ancestor sage. A look of surprise flashed across Morongyu's face, but it was only for a moment. He clearly understood that the reason why his speed had soared was most likely due to the advancement of the army character formula. Even if it had not advanced, it was definitely much stronger than before. At this speed, Morongyu would have no problem escaping from the three ancestor sages. Therefore, Morongyu raised his strength to the extreme and turned into a stream of light that flew forward rapidly. As long as he escaped from the attack range of the three ancestor sages, he could take the opportunity to enter Hichu Luoshu. At that time, even the primal Chaos Ancestor Sage wouldn't be able to do anything to him. However, the ideal was plentiful, but the reality was always so bony. Just as Morongyu increased his speed in an attempt to shake off the three ancestor sages, several extremely powerful auras appeared in front of him. 5 ancestral saints. The 5 ancestral sages approached. When Morongyu discovered their existence, the 5 ancestral sages also discovered Morongyu and the 3 ancestral sages who were chasing after Morongyu. Without any hesitation, the 5 of them reached out their hands and grabbed Morongyu. Morongyu's face darkened and he groaned inwardly. This was truly a case of a tiger and a wolf in front and a pursuing army behind. Wasn't this deliberately trying to kill Morongyu? Morongyu's heart was filled with killing intent. If he had the strength, he would definitely kill these ancestral sages one by one. But it was apparent that he didn't have the strength to do so at this stage. Even one ancestral saint wasn't someone he could contend against. Therefore, he spun in the air and shot toward the other side. But soon, another group of experts appeared in front of him. It was another group of ancestral sages. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In this short period of time, more than 20 ancestral sages had appeared around Morongyu, and it seemed that more and more people were flying over. It was obvious that these people were chasing after Morongyu. Morongyu even discovered a few experts from the monster race and the sacred race. All of them wanted to capture Morongyu, but each of them was wary of others. Their target was Morongyu, and they all wanted to capture Morongyu, but they had to be wary of others interfering. Therefore, the situation became delicate for a moment. Everyone surrounded Morongyu in the middle, sealing the void so that Morongyu couldn't escape. But they didn't make a move. Looking at the 20 ancestral sages, Morongyu's face darkened. Morongyu is from our Heavenly Thunder sect. Whoever dares to touch him will be going against our Heavenly Thunder sect. One of the ancestral sages glanced at the other ancestral sages with a gloomy face, and then transmitted his voice to them. The reason why they transmitted their voice was because they were worried that Morongyu would find out their identities. Although there was no way Morongyu could escape from their encirclement, it was better to be safe than sorry. What if Morongyu managed to escape? With the strength of the Seamless Branch, it was enough to annihilate the Heavenly Thunder sect. Although the Heavenly Thunder sect was also a superpower of the human race in the Holy World. In fact, which one of the superpowers present wasn't from a superpower? How could an ordinary superpower dare to have any ideas about Morongyu? What is the Heavenly Thunder sect? The Taishu sect wants Morongyu no matter what. If you're smart, leave immediately. One of the Taishu sect's ancestral sages said coldly. One by one, the ancestral sages brought up their own superpowers, trying to intimidate the other ancestral sages. However, each ancestral sages had a superpower backing them, so they were not afraid of each other. Therefore, they confronted each other. The ancestral sages of the demon race and the sacred clan leaned against each other silently. In the human race's territory, they were alone, so the only way was to unite. Even so, they didn't dare to say anything. After all, if they were attacked by the human race's ancestral sages, they would definitely be in for a tragedy. While they were arguing, part of Murong Yu's mind had already sunk into his body. Although he couldn't hear their voices, Murong Yu had already guessed what they were talking about. Once these people reached an agreement or failed to reach an agreement, it would be time to make a move on Murong Yu. When that time came, it would be Murong Yu's doomsday. Therefore, Murong Yu had to seize any opportunity and time to make himself stronger. At this time, he could only save himself, otherwise, no one would be able to save him. Confrontation formula. Murong Yu directly swallowed the light he caught into his body, then began to comprehend. It was also at this time that he found out that Turtle King Shui Yuanhua cultivated the confrontation formula of the 9 syllables. The confrontation formula focused on defense, and Murong Yu had already seen it. After cultivating the confrontation formula, as long as he circulated this technique, he would be able to increase his defense. If he used the Akalanatha seal, he would be able to maximize his defense. The stronger he was, the stronger his defense. Just like how Turtle King Shui Yuanhua could defend against a sage ruler's attack when he was in the ancient sage realm, the stronger he was, the higher the level of the confrontation formula, and the more terrifying the power of the Akalanatha seal. In other words, if Turtle King Shui Yuanhua cultivated the army formula to the 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th stage or higher, his defense would not only be able to defend against a sage ruler, but also ancestral sages and primal chaos ancestral sages. Of course, the confrontation formula wasn't that easy to cultivate. The more heaven-defying a technique was, the harder it was to cultivate it successfully. Otherwise, the Turtle King would be able to run amok in the world. The 2nd and 3rd stages were fleeting. Murong Yu also knew that it wasn't that easy to cultivate. However, he didn't ask for too much. He only needed to cultivate the 1st stage successfully. At the very least, his life-saving measures would be several times stronger than they were now. And so, Murong Yu began to cultivate. Perhaps it was because Murong Yu had cultivated the 6th word. Although the confrontation formula had previously tried to escape Murong Yu's control, it was very obedient when Murong Yu cultivated it. It didn't take long for Murong Yu to successfully cultivate the confrontation formula. Since that's the case, let's see who's the real deal. Just as Murong Yu finished cultivating, an ancestral sage roared with an ashen face and threw a punch at another ancestral sage not far away. They had broken down. Boom, boom, boom. As the ancestral sage made his move, more ancestral sages made their moves as well. One by one, they locked on to their targets and attacked with incomparable ferocity. However, even more people grabbed at Murong Yu. In the blink of an eye, more than a dozen large hands appeared beside Murong Yu, shattering the heavens and earth. They then swiftly grabbed at him. At this moment, an extremely strong aura of death rose in Murong Yu's heart. Some people wanted to capture Murong Yu, but others wanted to kill Murong Yu. In an instant, Murong Yu didn't have time to react. He only roared, Akalanatha seal. Whoosh! A thin, black, and nearly transparent energy shield appeared out of thin air around Murong Yu's body, enveloping his entire body. Boom! 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 Just as the barrier opened up, the dozens of hands also slammed into the barrier. You have to hold on for me. Murong Yu roared in his heart again and again. He raised his strength to the limit and crazily poured it into the shield. After a loud noise, the shield that Murong Yu had opened flickered violently. The terrifying power sent Murong Yu and the shield flying. During this process, Murong Yu felt a sweet taste in his throat and fiercely spat out a mouthful of blood. The shield that he had opened also exploded into millions of fragments with a bang. The Akalanatha seal had actually been broken, and it had been broken in the first use. It wasn't that the Akalanatha seal was trash, nor was it that Murong Yu's cultivation was too trashy. It was even inferior to the Turtle King Shui Yuanhua. It was that his enemies were too strong. There were more than a dozen ancestral sages. It should be known that Murong-yu was just a profound sage. A profound sage blocking more than a dozen ancestral sages 3 realms higher than him without dying. This achievement could definitely shock the entire sacred world. What? Seeing that Murong-yu had actually blocked the attacks of so many of them, the more than a dozen ancestral sages couldn't help but be taken aback. But soon, they attacked again. Murong-yu crazily spat out blood, and cracks appeared on his high-grade sacred artifact body. Although he had successfully blocked the attacks of more than a dozen ancestral sages, he was still seriously injured. Akalanatha's seal. Seeing that everyone was attacking him, Murong-yu could only use the arrival technique again to resist the attacks of these ancestral sages. Chapter 1491. The defensive capabilities of the Akala seal were undoubtedly extremely powerful and could be called an absolute defense. However, the Akala seal had a very obvious flaw. Once this seal was used, Murong-yu had to maintain it at all times. Once the handprint was deformed, the seal of unmovable wisdom would automatically collapse, and the powerful defensive power would be completely gone. It was precisely because of this that when Turtle King Shui Yuanhua used the Akala seal, he could only passively endure the attack. It wasn't that he didn't want to attack, but that he couldn't. This was something that Murong-yu had only just discovered. This could also be considered the flaw of the Akala seal. However, this was also very normal. There was no such thing as a perfect person. Nothing was perfect. Of course, nothing was absolute in this world. Although Murong-yu couldn't use his hands to attack, he could still move. Moreover, he didn't necessarily need to use his hands to attack. For example, there wouldn't be any problem if he used a sacred weapon or a magic treasure to attack. Just like Turtle King Shui Yuanhua, he only used his feet, body, and sacred weapons to attack. Rumble. Although it was said that attacking was the best defense. However, in the face of more than 10 powerful ancestral sages, Murong-yu's attacks were so weak that they couldn't even withstand a single blow. Therefore, he gave up on attacking and poured all of his power into the Akala seal. Incomparably violent and terrifying power that could destroy heaven and earth instantly bombarded the defensive barrier. The terrifying power surged in through the air. Suddenly, the defensive barrier erupted with an intense holy light. The black defensive barrier was trembling violently. Devour! Murong-yu's expression changed slightly when he felt the energy rushing into his body like a flood. He furiously roared in his heart. Suddenly, a huge suction force appeared out of thin air and began to devour the power that surged in. However, there was simply too much power that surged in. Murong-yu absorbed less than 1% of it. Rumble. Wave after wave of power bombarded Murong-yu's body violently. Immediately, cracks appeared on Murong-yu's high-grade sacred weapon body and rapidly expanded and spread. Numerous ghastly wounds appeared on his body, and blood spurted out like a fountain. Murong-yu's body was about to be crushed. Life force! Murong-yu clenched his teeth and roared. Instantly, a huge wave of life force surged up and washed over his body. As a result, the injuries on his body healed at a speed visible to the naked eye. However, at this moment, bang! With a loud sound, Murong-yu's defensive barrier shattered for the second time. The power of more than a dozen ancestral sages was not something that could be easily defended against, not to mention that Murong-yu was still distracted by recovering his physical body. Therefore, at this moment, his defensive barrier had reached its limit and shattered. After shattering Murong-yu's defensive barrier, the large hands of the ancestral sages did not stop at all. They shattered billions of space-time and carried a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth as they viciously grabbed at Murong-yu. Some of the people who wanted to kill Murong-yu even used all their strength to punch or palm at Murong-yu, wanting to kill Murong-yu in one fell swoop. Just as Murong-yu was about to be captured or killed by the ancestral sages, ha ha! A burst of arrogant laughter came from afar. Accompanying the laughter was an incomparably gloomy and cold aura. It was as if the world had turned from day to night at this moment. The cold aura enveloped the land, and even the ancestral sages present felt extremely cold as their hair stood on end. All the hair on Murong-yu's body stood on end, and an extremely strong aura of death appeared in his heart. In the blink of an eye, he turned his head to look. He saw 3 somewhat illusory figures stepping through the void and rapidly approaching from afar. Undead. When he saw those people, Murong-yu could not help but exclaim, because those people looked exactly the same as the undead he had seen before. However, the undead did not have much consciousness and could not be considered as living creatures. However, the experts coming toward him were living beings. It was just that their life characteristics were different from ordinary people. They were not spiritual bodies, but they were close to spiritual bodies. Their bodies constantly emitted a cold aura. At first glance, they looked like ghosts in the mortal world. That's right, these people were really ghosts. However, they were different from the ghosts in the mortal world. They were the Ingul tribe of the sacred clans in the sacred world. They were a special life form and were very powerful. Even among the sacred clans, they were an extremely powerful race. All of you are going to die, ha ha ha. The experts of the Ingul tribe laughed and attacked at the same time. Suddenly, hundreds of millions of ghosts waved their hands, and 100 ghosts walked in the night, covering the heaven and earth. They covered the sky and covered the earth as they rushed toward the people, including Murong-yu. Ingul tribe. The experts of the human clan frowned slightly, and at the same time, they had already unleashed their power. Holy light shot up into the sky from their bodies, and a terrifying power swept out in all directions. One move after another, he bombarded the 3 experts of the Ghost clan with overwhelming attack. Although their target was Murong-yu, the 3 experts of the Ingul tribe were too arrogant. They actually wanted to kill them as well. Moreover, the 3 experts of the Ingul tribe were more powerful than any of them. If they ignored them, they would be severely injured. Therefore, they attacked in anger. A great battle was about to break out. Murong-yu formed the Akalanatha seal again. At the same time, he used his fastest speed to fly to one side. He knew that everyone's target was him, and the only thing he could do now was to escape. Kid, where are you going? Follow me back to the Ingul tribe. Just as Murong-yu's figure moved, a sinister voice suddenly sounded in his ears. At the same time, a chilly wind instantly enveloped his body, causing goosebumps to rise all over his body. At the same time, his heart was enveloped by an extremely strong aura of death. Whoosh! A large hand appeared above Murong-yu's head out of nowhere, and with lightning speed, it broke the void and grabbed at him. Murong-yu turned pale with fright and his speed soared. However, no matter how fast he was, the large hand was even faster. Before he could speed up, the giant hand had already slammed into the defensive barrier. Boom! The defensive barrier, which could have withstood the attacks of more than 10 ancestor sages, could not withstand a single blow from the expert of the Ingul tribe, and it shattered immediately. However, the large hand of the expert of the Ingul tribe was not obstructed at all, and it slammed down directly. At this moment, Murong-yu used all his strength to increase his speed, but he could not escape from the large hand of the expert of the Ingul tribe. So what if he attacked? He could not resist? So what if he used Hichu Luoshu? Murong-yu wanted to use the supreme weapon, Purple Light Heavenly Civ Pagoda, to kill these people, but he did not have enough time. However, he was not a person who would sit still and wait for death. In a hurry, an extremely violent soul attack was released, and it swept towards the expert of the Ingul tribe. However, it was too late. Boom! The large hand of the Ingul tribe had already covered Murong-yu's body. Extremely violent power gushed out, and Murong Yu was about to be completely annihilated. However, at this moment, something strange happened. Boom! Just as Murong Yu was about to be killed, a dazzling holy light burst out from Murong Yu's body, and it shot up into the 9 heavens. How did this kid activate my seals so quickly? Just as the holy light shot up into the sky, somewhere in the endless starry sky, a tall and imposing expert frowned slightly. Not good, this kid is really in a life and death situation. The tall and imposing figure's face darkened. The seals he had placed on Murong Yu were to protect Murong Yu. Unless it was a life and death situation, Murong Yu would not be able to activate them even if he wanted to. Now, it could only be said that Murong Yu was really in danger. This kid has exceeded my expectations. He has actually reached the 6th level of the profound sage realm. Forget it, I won't interfere. How can one achieve great things without suffering? The voice was intermittent, and then the tall and imposing figure disappeared into the endless starry sky. In the holy world, when the holy light shot up into the sky, a shield that was countless times stronger than Murong Yu's immovable seal of wisdom appeared around Murong Yu, firmly surrounding him. As for the Ghost Clan's expert who was trying to kill Murong Yu, his hand was directly shattered into pieces. In fact, his entire body was sent flying. This is... Murong Yu was shocked at first, and then he laughed loudly. Because he remembered what this shield was all about. When he first joined the Seamless Society, the leader of the Seamless Society, who was also his master, had bestowed him with 3 powers. These 3 powers had been sealed in Murong Yu's body, and today, one of them had been activated. All of you must die. After laughing, Murong Yu's face turned cold, and waves of bone-chilling killing intent continuously erupted from his body. These people all wanted to capture him or kill him. The moment they made a move, Murong Yu had already written it down in the judgment. Kid, this is the power that your seniors sealed in your body, right? It's just one of them. I want to see how long you can last, a Ghost race expert said in an ear-piercing voice as he looked coldly at Murong Yu. That's right, the power of the shield on Murong Yu's body was rapidly dissipating. If these people were not only ancestral sages, but also primal chaos ancestral sages, the seal would automatically activate, but it could only withstand 1 blow. After 1 blow, it would shatter. But this was enough. It was enough for Murong Yu to kill all of them on the spot. Purple light, heavenly sieve pagoda, come out! Murong Yu roared and directly took out his supreme weapon. Chapter 1492. Rumble. As soon as the supreme weapon, purple light, heavenly gauze tower, appeared, a 5-colored light shot up into the sky and instantly covered an area of a few 100 million miles. It shot straight up into the sky. Moreover, with the supreme weapon as the center, an incomparably terrifying aura and a powerful supreme being's coercion swept out in all directions like a tidal wave. Wherever it passed, the void shattered and the earth was annihilated. It was as if the space had been destroyed and the world had come to an end. At this moment, except for Murong Yu, all the ancestral sages were enveloped by an extremely strong aura of death. The terrifying pressure pressed down on them, causing them to fall to the ground like meteors. What is this? In front of the terrifying oppression of the supreme weapon, all the ancestral sages felt as if they were ants in front of a sacred mountain. They were so insignificant and weak. This is a supreme weapon. Seeing the 5-colored holy light that covered the sky, one of the ancestral sages cried out in surprise. Although they had never seen a supreme weapon before. However, everyone knew that only supreme weapons could emit 5-colored holy light. Of course, it did not mean that a supreme weapon could emit 5-colored holy light. However, with such a terrifying oppression, they were sure that it was a supreme weapon. Run! Everyone felt a chill in their hearts. Under the strong aura of death, their expressions changed and their first reaction was to run. All of you must die. When he thought of how he had almost been captured or killed by these people, Murong Yu's killing intent was extremely violent. Moreover, these people already knew that he had a supreme weapon and that he was a soul sage. He would never let them go. As Murong Yu shouted, the purple light heavenly gauze tower had already shot up into the sky and expanded in the wind. In an instant it had grown to the size of a small mountain. "Kill!" Murong Yu shouted again. Almost at the same time, the purple light heavenly gauze tower shook violently. An invisible force was emitted from the supreme weapon. With the supreme weapon as the center, it spread out in all directions, killing everything in its path. Bang! 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 The power of a supreme weapon was equivalent to a supreme weapon. How terrifying was the strength of a supreme martial artist! He did not even need to lift a finger to kill an ancestral sage. Therefore, before these ancestral sages could escape, they were hit by the power of the supreme weapon. Without any suspense, the bodies of these ancestral saints, including the saint artifacts and magic treasures they had summoned, were instantly shattered into powder. More than 20 ancestral sages were instantly killed. Instant kill. If news of this battle were to spread, Murong Yu's name would definitely shake the world. After all, he was only a profound sage. Even though there was a difference of 3 major realms between them, he had still been able to kill over 20 ancestral sages. Only those at the peak of the ancestral saint realm could achieve such a feat. Although Murong Yu didn't rely on his own strength, he was still able to defeat Murong Yu. However, for every saint, his fortuitous encounters and various treasures were also a part of his strength. Plop! Plop! After more than 20 ancestral saints were killed, Murong Yu was powerless to float in the void because his strength had been exhausted, so he fell to the ground. At this time, Murong Yu wasn't even an ancestral saint. Even an ordinary saint would be able to kill him. Therefore, after dripping on the ground, Murong Yu did not hesitate to start recovering his strength. Now that he had no strength left in his body, he couldn't even take back the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda, let alone leave this place. When Murong Yu fell to the ground, the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda also lost its support and fell down, turning into a small pagoda and landing not far from Murong Yu. After all, a supreme weapon was a supreme weapon, although Murong Yu had successfully recognized him as its master. Even so, he could only stimulate a billionth of its power. But even so, it had exhausted his strength. It should be known that because Murong Yu had the Tree of Life, his strength was almost endless. Only a supreme weapon could instantly devour his strength, and the Tree of Life could not replenish it in time. Let's return to the moment when Murong Yu took out the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda. When the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda's power erupted, many supreme experts in the human territory of the saints' world were alarmed. In particular, the supreme experts who had surpassed the peak of the primal chaos ancestral saint realm instantly sensed the existence of the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda. A supreme weapon had appeared. These supreme experts who sensed the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda did not stop at all. They immediately shot in the direction of the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda. How fast were these peerless experts? Murong Yu did not know, because he had never seen it before. Although Yu Yangjiao was powerful, he had not reached the level of these supreme experts. Just as Murong Yu sat down to recover his strength, he sensed several terrifying auras that were millions of times stronger than the ancestral saints shooting towards him at unimaginable speeds. In 1/100th of an instant, they had traversed billions of space-time, taking a large step closer to Murong Yu. Danger! Danger! Even if Murong Yu took out the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda, he would still be killed by these supreme experts. Although the supreme weapon was powerful, Murong Yu was unable to unleash any greater power. Although these supreme experts were not as strong as supremes, they were relatively close. Unless it was an expert of the same level who could unleash the supreme weapon's power, no one else could affect them. Murong Yu felt an unprecedented sense of danger. In reality, from the moment Murong Yu took out the purple light heavenly Civ Pagoda to killing over 20 ancestral saints and sitting down to recover his strength, only a few seconds had passed. One could only imagine how fast those peerless experts were. Now, with every hundredth of an instant that passed, Murong Yu's heart felt heavy, and the aura of death became 100 times stronger. In the end, Murong Yu's soul trembled violently because of the aura of death that enveloped his heart. He even felt fear. Tree of Life! Murong Yu roared in his heart as he urged the Tree of Life again and again. Suddenly, the hundreds of millions of roots of the Tree of Life in the void trembled rapidly. Strands of chaotic energy were constantly devoured, rushing into Murong Yu's body like a torrent, replenishing Murong Yu's strength. After being replenished, Murong Yu had the strength to take out the Hichu Luoshu. Then, he grabbed the purple radiant heavenly roar pagoda and rushed into the He-2 and the Book of the Luo. Reverse spacetime. The instant he entered the He-2 and Luo inscribed scroll, Murong Yu erupted with all his strength and disrupted the spacetime of the space outside. At the same time, he activated the Hichu Luoshu's teleportation ability and directly left the place. The Hichu Luoshu's teleportation ability didn't require Murong Yu's strength at all. As a result, he had unscrupulously converted all his power into time force, disrupting the spacetime of that space. Although Murong Yu had killed those ancestral saints, no one knew that he was a soul saint and that he had a supreme weapon. However, the peerless experts in the saints' world still had many ways to watch the battle between them. At that time, they would know that Murong Yu had a supreme weapon. Murong Yu had already become the target of the various large forces, and if they knew that he had a supreme weapon, they wouldn't send any more ancestral saints. Instead, they would send primal chaos ancestral saints, or even peak existences among primal chaos ancestral saints. Even large forces like the heaven-suppressing sect might come out in full force. This was because a supreme weapon was equivalent to a supreme being. If the heaven-suppressing sect obtained a supreme weapon, they would definitely become one of the human race's holy lands, becoming the 11th Holy Land. It was the same for the other large forces. Therefore, Murong Yu had to protect his secret to the greatest extent. At least, he had to do this before he had the strength to protect himself. Boom! Just as Hichu Luoshu was teleported, a tall figure filled with an extremely violent aura suddenly stepped out of the void and arrived at the mountain range where Murong Yu had been. Rumble! As soon as this expert appeared, the heaven and earth trembled violently as if an earthquake had occurred. At this moment, Murong Yu, who was in Hichu Luoshu, suddenly felt his entire body turn cold and stiff. An extremely strong aura of death instantly enveloped his entire body. Swish! In his eyes, a huge hand that stretched across the heaven and earth suddenly shattered billions of spacetime and grabbed at him. This peerless expert had discovered Murong Yu, who was escaping. At this moment, Murong Yu was so shocked that his soul almost stiffened. A feeling of terror spread from the bottom of his heart and instantly enveloped his entire body. It's over! Murong Yu's entire body turned ice-cold as an aura of despair enveloped his entire body. Boom! Perhaps it had sensed Murong Yu's despair, or perhaps it had sensed that Murong Yu's life was in great danger. The second of the three powers sealed in Murong Yu's body by the Tao Master of the Seamless Sect automatically activated. His first barrier had already shattered when he killed the 20 or so ancestral saint. An incomparably huge barrier of power immediately enveloped Murong Yu and even the entire Hichu Luoshu. With a loud bang, the barrier blocked the huge hand that could annihilate heaven and earth in time. However, it only lasted for an instant before it shattered into pieces. However, this short period of time was still not enough for Murong Yu to escape. That huge hand, like a shadow attached to the body, once again grabbed at him. Boom! The third power was activated once again. In the blink of an eye, he blocked the giant hand once again. However, it still couldn't stop the huge hand and shattered in an instant. Chapter 1493. At this point, the three powers sealed within Morong Yu's body by the Seamless Society's Tao Master had all been destroyed. If Morong Yu were to encounter such a situation in the future, no one would be able to protect him. He could only rely on the present. Now, the two powers had been annihilated, but they were unable to stop the huge hand that was grabbing at him. It wasn't that the opponent was too strong, or that the Seamless Society's Tao Master was too weak. It was just one of the powers, and it probably wasn't even a millionth of the Seamless Society's Tao Master's time. But even so, it was enough. Although the two powers couldn't stop the Peerless Expert's attack, they could at least delay the Peerless Expert for a moment. And this moment was enough to save Morong Yu's life. With a swoosh, Hichu Luoshu disappeared into thin air. Rumble, just as the He-Tu and the Book of the Luo disappeared, the huge hand grabbed down. Although he couldn't grab the He-Tu and the inscription of the Luo, he was able to crush the void. Even the black spatial turbulence surged out like a torrent. These spatial turbulence, which could annihilate a sage king and even an ancestor sage, posed no threat to the huge hand. Before it could even get close to the huge hand, it was already crushed into powder by the invisible power of the huge hand. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. At this moment, the figures of experts who emitted a terrifying aura that could destroy heaven and earth appeared one after another. Even the weakest of these people was a primal chaos ancestor sage. As for whether these people would think that the supreme weapon had been snatched by the peerless expert who had arrived first, and whether a huge battle would break out between them, all of this no longer had anything to do with Morong Yu. Cough cough, after a teleportation, Morong Yu returned to the true martial temple. That's right, it was the true martial temple. This was the closest teleportation point to Morong Yu. Moreover, the most dangerous place was the safest place. Even the upper echelons of the true martial temple wouldn't have expected Morong Yu to return here. After recovering a portion of his strength, Morong Yu finally left and returned to the God world. Only in the God realm was the safest place. Even the almighty experts of the holy world were unable to come here. Puff! When Morong Yu spat out a mouthful of blood, his body, which had been severely injured by that peerless expert, finally recovered to its peak state. Fortunately, Morong Yu had 3 strands of power sealed by the seamless Tao Master. Otherwise, Morong Yu would have been killed long ago. Even so, his physical body, which had reached the level of a high-grade saint artifact, was almost annihilated. Fortunately, his soul wasn't damaged. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to recover in such a short time. Hichu, what realm has that person reached? Morong Yu opened his eyes and immediately asked He-Tu about it. How is his strength so terrifying? A strange look flashed across Hichu's eyes, but it disappeared in a flash and was quickly concealed by him. However, Morong Yu was still sensitive enough to notice the cold killing intent in Hichu's eyes. Morong Yu was surprised because he had never seen Hichu have such dense killing intent towards someone, and he even concealed it in front of him. Could that person have something to do with Zhao Yun's death? Morong Yu pondered, but he didn't ask. He's at least a 9th-rank chaotic ancestor saint. Only the 10 great holy lands and the heaven-suppressing sect have such an existence. Hichu said indifferently. 9th-rank chaotic ancestor saint. Morong Yu was speechless. One had to know that apart from the sovereigns and supremes in the holy world, 9th-rank chaotic ancestor saints were peak experts. However, there was only one sovereign and 10 autarchs. In other words, an expert of this level has already made a move against me? Could that person be one of the 9 great holy lands? Morong Yu frowned and said with a gloomy face. An ancestor saint expert was already a disaster for Morong Yu. With his current strength, He could only run if he faced a first-rank chaotic ancestor saint, and he might not even be able to escape. However, there was still a glimmer of hope to escape. However, if he encountered a chaotic ancestor saint, Morong-yu wouldn't even have the chance to escape. Even if he took out the purple radiant heavenly sieve pagoda, he wouldn't be able to escape. Unless he had a life-saving talisman like the seal of the Seamless Sex Tao Master. However, Morong-yu didn't have such things on him. This was the tragedy of being a genius. He was strong, far stronger than other cultivators of the same level. However, it would attract the attention of even stronger experts. Originally, he had been in the limelight in the true martial temple, which made him an influential figure. If the fact that he had a supreme weapon was exposed, it would definitely attract the chaotic ancestor saints to kill him. Unless Morong-yu hid in the God Realm or the Seamless Sect in the future, he wouldn't be able to gain a foothold in the Holy World. Moreover, in the Seamless Sect or the God Realm, how could Morong-yu increase his strength? This was what Morong-yu was worried about. What he didn't know was that everything he was worried about had already happened. Even if Morong-yu reversed the space-time of his previous battle when he left, he was still a profound sage. Although his methods were strong, they hadn't reached the level of heaven-defying. Moreover, the people who had come at that time were all peerless experts of the Holy World. Under the influence of some powerful expert, the scene of Morong-yu taking out a supreme weapon and killing more than 20 ancestor saints appeared clearly in front of those peerless experts. With regards to Morong-yu's strength, these peerless experts didn't express anything. To them, no matter how heaven-defying Morong-yu's strength was, as long as he hadn't become a supreme, he would at most be on equal footing with them. They had seen many peerless geniuses, and they themselves were peerless geniuses. How difficult was it to become a supreme? Only they had a deep understanding of it. However, they weren't interested in Morong-yu, but they were very interested in the purple light heavenly sieve pagoda. There was no lack of people from the 10 great holy lands present, but even the 10 great holy lands didn't mind if they had more supreme weapons. After all, a supreme weapon that could display its power was equivalent to a supreme. If a holy land had more than one supreme weapon, it could definitely suppress other holy lands, and its status would be higher. If other forces that weren't a holy land had a supreme weapon, they could also become a holy land in one fell swoop. Therefore, when they knew that Morong-yu had a supreme weapon, these people had already decided to track down Morong-yu and seize the supreme weapon. And for some reason, this matter was spread out. In a short period of time, a gust of wind blew in the holy world, sweeping across the world. Everyone knew about it. There were indeed many people who were envious of Morong-yu's opportunities and strength. However, there were even more people who wanted to seize his supreme weapon. For a time, the human race of the holy world was searching for Morong-yu's traces everywhere. From the primal chaos ancestor sage to the ordinary saints, everyone was searching. Bronze Martial City. Yu Mengqing, Mu Liue, Kurlan, and Situ Xian gathered together, looking at each other with gloomy expressions. After a long silence, Kurlan couldn't help but ask, "Big Baddie should be fine, right?" Morong-yu's matter had already spread throughout the holy world, even in a small place like Bronze Martial City. As Morong-yu's women, Yu Mengqing and the others were naturally worried. "Let's not panic. We have to believe that Morong will be fine. Isn't there nothing wrong with his soul jade slip?" Zhao Jiqing wasn't here, so naturally, Yu Mengqing had become their temporary big sister. Mu Liue smiled bitterly. "I don't know what this guy is doing. He left the true martial temple not long after joining and was hunted down by them. Now that he has joined the Infernal Society, I thought he would settle down. Who knew that he would make the whole world his enemy? Hasn't he always been like this?" Situ Xian shook her head helplessly, forcing a helpless smile on her face. "What we need to do now is to increase our strength. This is the only way we can help Morong," Yu Mengqing said with a determined look on her face. while Yu Mengqing and the others were discussing in a place extremely far away from them in the Phoenix clan. Dressed in white, the devastatingly beautiful Zhao Jiqing stood alone on a mountain peak, looking into the distance with a cold expression. At this moment, her realm had already risen to the Saint Ruler realm, and it was even a high-level Saint Ruler. Her strength was increasing at an extremely fast speed. Murong, you must hold on. Soon, I will return to help you. Zhao Jiqing's eyes flashed with a cold light, and then her figure flashed, disappearing from the mountain peak. Somewhere in the human territory, in the main hall of a small sect called Shengzhen. Pa! A table was slapped into dust, and then a tall figure stood up abruptly, exuding a terrifying aura. These bastards actually want to kill the Lord and steal the initiative. Brothers, let's kill these bastards. Woof! A large black dog stood up, and then said in a human voice, I say, little fire, how are you going to kill those people? Are you going to rely on your imperishable stage strength? Old Black, are you looking down on me? The fiery-eyed golden ape glared at the large black dog, his face full of displeasure. All right, the two of you, calm down. It's not like you don't know Father's strength. How can those bastards be Father's match? At this moment, a young, handsome man on the main seat said indifferently. He was Murong Yu's eldest son, Murong Xian. Murong Yi also said, with our current strength, we can't fight against a slightly stronger force. I think we should do our best to increase our strength, and at the same time, pay attention to news of my father. I believe that our Shengzhen will suppress the holy world one day. We will make all the saints tremble at our feet. Suppress Shengzhen, so this was what it meant to suppress the entire holy world. This was probably the ambition of Murong Xian and the others, right? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.